Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the ReelTok Podcast. I'm here with my lovely co-hosts, as always, Tyler, George, and Cameron. A quick thing to mention, we really appreciate all the support on the merch so far. Your support has been incredible. I've personally had a lot of messages, I'm sure you guys have as well, with people sharing on the stories, stuff like that. We really appreciate it. And of course, if you are a member of the Patreon, you do get many discounts depending on what tier you're on, so always worth having a look. And we did switch around a few of the benefits for a couple of the tiers recently to make it a little bit more beneficial, a bit more bang for your buck, that sort of thing. And you do get early access to episodes and stuff like that, so feel free to have a look. And of course, we always appreciate the support on the YouTube, Spotify, and all the social medias as always. But before we kick on to the episode, today's episode is going to be quite a big one. We have, one of the biggest movie releases of this year with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse being reviewed. And we've got some trailers and some other reviews to discuss. But before we get into it, how is everyone this week? George, we'll start with you. Obviously, you went to a past live screening last night, I believe.
Yeah. Overall, week was good. Just another busy work week. But it's never a bad thing when you watch two top 4 movies of the year back to back. So I've had a pretty good week. I saw Spider-Verse on Thursday. Excited to talk about that with you guys. And then I've got past lives last night, which was followed by a Q&A with Q&A hosted by Steve Buscemi. Which was really funny. With the director of the film as well as the supporting actor. So that was really cool, really fun to just hear them talking about the movie. Movie was fantastic. I don't know if you guys saw, but it's at my number 4 spot of the year, which I don't know if that's high or low. I've only seen 34 movies this year, but it's 4.5 out of 5 for me. So I was really happy with that movie. And then week's gonna end tonight with a concert. I'm going to Pier 17 with my sisters and a couple of friends in Victoria. Overall pretty decent week. We kind of flew by. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but just
all weeks flew by for me.
I swear, I was like, we just recorded episode 38 yesterday. It feels like. But no, I mean, that's a good thing. That's just a sign of a busy work week, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely. If it goes quicker. Cam, obviously you're not in Indiana right now. Let's tell us where you are.
Yeah, I'm in the old St. Louis right now for a wedding. I am extremely hungover, which is just not good because I have the worst hangovers and I will be like crippling all day.
You're the youngest one on the pod. You can't be talking about bad hangovers.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wait till you get to like 25, then it'll be really bad.
I have never had good hangovers, man. Like I am always out for the entire next day.
You have a wedding today.
I know it's not good. I'm trying to puke and rally. That didn't work. We're getting some Pedialyte drop shipped in. This is.
Like, are you in the wedding at all, or are you just like sitting in the altars chilling?
I'm just sitting, chilling.
Sleep in the pews.
I might have to, man. I'm dead.
You look great.
Yeah, I'm gonna be quiet this episode. So just hey y'all, go across the Spider-Verse. Move on.
You didn't say anything about your week. I want to know the rest of
the week's good. I got a promotion, so yeah, exciting stuff at work.
Just casual. Slipping in there.
Yeah, not online like Tyler, but I'm okay. Good week. Other than today, I'm gonna go puke soon, probably.
Well, that was a very positive intro from Cameron there.
Oh man.
We'll move on to Tyler, who does have some really positive news.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tyler got the what is it? The dog? Well, I'll let you say. Obviously, adopted a puppy last night, I believe. Got it last night anyway. Let us go over that for a bit.
Yeah, so adopted a puppy. It's like a brindled cattle dog. She's 3 months old. Her name is Mia, after La La Land. I was thinking of Mia for a while, and then like I was between Mia and Murphy, but I don't know. Just gave me the vibe. It didn't give me the vibes of Mia at first, but it came around. So Mia's the name. It's the first puppy I've ever had because I had 2 dogs growing up for my stepmom, but like by the time she like became involved with the family, the dogs were like not puppy age. And then we have 1 dog right now, but Riley had it before we were together, and so when I had it, it wasn't puppy age. So it'll be a good adjustment, waking up in the middle of the night last night, bringing her out to go bathroom, just handling all that. But she's good. The cats are not adjusting. The cats like absolutely hate the new dog, but our other dog's awesome. So it's exciting to have a puppy. Good time, very cute.
What do you have now? 4 animals in your house? 5?
4, and that's the carrying
4.
capacity. I think 2 dogs, 2 cats. So like each type of animal has a friend to hang out with all the time. That's like the perfect number for us. And then we'll
I was
just
gonna say, great thing that you're starting to work from home full time.
I mean, that's like kind of the catalyst for getting the puppy. Because like so Thursday, today's Saturday. So 2 days ago is my last day working in the office. So I'm going to be working from home until basically I choose not to. Like it's like I can work from home forever now. So that was kind of like the thing. It's like, okay, now I'm officially working from home all the time. Like we can get a new puppy since I'll be here 24/7. And Riley works nights too. So like when the dog's sleeping, that's the only time she's gone. During the day, she's home. So it'll work out well. So very exciting. So my week went like pretty slow because like I had my last few days in office at my new job or my old job. Now I have a week off where I'm just gonna chill, except like Wednesday I have to do some stuff for my new job. And then I got a puppy, so like I feel like a lot's happened for me since the last ReelTok episode. But it's been a good week.
What was Murphy? Is that another film reference? Or is it
Interstellar. From yeah.
Oh, Murph. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, where's your film bro knowledge?
Which
I know.
For me, like it's like that Interstellar is a 5-star film for me, but it just like doesn't connect the same level as like La La Land. So I felt like I was like I have to go Mia because like Murphy just didn't.
I would have recognized if you'd have said Murph because he says Murph.
Right.
Yeah, he does say Murph.
That's what clicked in my head.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But yeah, no, it was a good week. I can't complain. But yeah, it's funny because our episodes come out Monday morning, so like I'm just picturing people like driving on their way to work or like starting their week off and just hearing Cam be like, "I'm hungover and I want to die." And like this is just great motivation to get our listeners ready for the week ahead. But no, good stuff. I'm excited to talk some Spiderverse.
So excited to talk Spiderverse.
Definitely.
How was your week, Seth?
Well, I did obviously go over because obviously I wasn't here last week, so I was at Comic-Con. We went over this, but we obviously had an issue with Tyler PC.
Yeah, I guess I will address that too quick, just for the people because there was no Real Quicks last week. So my computer shit the bed. It's like in pieces back there from being pulled apart trying to fix it. Got a new one. It's recording with this. Everything's going smoothly. But last week when we were recording one of the Real Quicks, when we did which you'll see both these Real Quicks we filmed this week, we were filming one that was comic book movie related because we're going to be reviewing the Suicide Squad. So naturally we're like, oh, we're going to talk about the Suicide Squad. Seth, tell us about your time at MCM, London Comic Con. He did. My computer blue screened to death during that crash, lost everything, and that's kind of when like it died. And we're like, all right, we got to go to Plan B here. So he already told this, but obviously none of you heard this. So yeah, please happily go into like as much as you want because I want to hear it again because my computer died, and B, I think everyone would love to hear your experience at Comic-Con because you got to meet so many different people and it looked like a really fun time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I won't go into there was not really much to go into. I think so. We went, like I told you guys before, we went on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. George, I know that when you went, you only ended up going for a day with Victoria, didn't you?
Yeah.
And looking back on it now, when I went on the Friday, obviously I went with Alex, Adamson Visuals. We met loads of guys out there. We met a lot more of them on Saturday, and met a few on Friday. Met a few other people as well, which is always nice. Meet people who you know from just online and stuff, which is always good. But like I remember speaking to George about this, and George said that I don't particularly like huge crowds a lot of the time. And Friday was busy, but it was not busy to the point where you couldn't move. I could look around the stalls, ended up buying a few posters. It's Sigourney Weaver one behind me. We've got a witch one there. I ended up buying some cool like pop figures, stuff like that, and some cool collectibles because you could just walk around and have a good time, whatever. And it was busy, but not to the point where it was just overwhelming. Like an airport when it's really, really busy. But then on Saturday we went back and it was like ridiculous. It was to the point, and I texted George and I was like, "Yeah, I see exactly what you mean now." So next, if I go back again, which I probably will, maybe in October, I think I'm just going to go for one day, being the Friday, and then leave the Saturday and Sunday and spend the Saturday and Sunday. All we did on Sunday, we didn't even bother going. We just went to like Camden, got some food markets, stuff like that. Went to like a film poster shop, which was really cool. And we went around with all of the UK TikTokers, like Jay, Alex Lopez, who obviously came in from Australia. We spent some good time with him, went for some food with him. Got loot reviews, Brad Stern's Third Opinion. Which was really, really great because these people who I followed online for ages and meeting them in person was really, really nice, and just talking film for ages. But yeah, it was a really good weekend. Really, really enjoyed it. Spent a crazy amount of money because London is just stupidly expensive, especially Comic-Con as well. Like crazy. But if I will definitely go again. I really enjoyed it. I did enjoy Saturday, but I think it was just too busy for me on that day. And Friday was definitely the best. George, did you go on the? I'm assuming it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday in New York. I'm sure it's the same thing. Is
It
not?
was actually so I went. It was Thursday like evening. Like the Thursday day started at like I think 2. It was just
okay.
it was like a soft like no one goes on that day. It's literally just if you can, you can. So
Yeah.
but I had taken off that Friday to go to Comic-Con, and it's the exact same experience as you. I think Friday was the perfect day, especially having Victoria with me, because I think she would have been a little more overwhelmed on a Saturday with the amount of people there and just the amount of nerd shit going around. So Friday was just like the perfect, calmness, but like you also kind of got like that chaos of a Comic-Con to like really experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also went Friday because there was that. It was like I was there for like the Rings of Power panel, so that was on Friday, and then Saturday that's when I flew out to LA.
LA.
Yeah, so that's why I couldn't go back on Saturday.
One thing I would say, there wasn't really anything like I wanted to, like, in terms of the schedule, the events and the talks and stuff.
Yeah.
There was like nothing that was really me.
No, it's
which
weird.
was disappointing.
And I don't know a ton about Comic-Con, and so if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like over the years, the things that are like, presented at Comic-Con have kind of like not died in quality, but we don't get the like top tier stuff because now there's like the D23 Expo, there's all the Star Wars panels.
Yeah.
Like there are so many separated panels that like run through all of these massive releases. So like Rings of Power, I think, was the biggest thing at New York City Comic-Con last year that was being promoted, I guess. But like obviously that's still not necessarily compared to like a Marvel panel or a Star Wars panel.
The only thing that I know that people went to was a Mulan sing along. Like genuinely, that's it. There was no releases. There was no like talks. Well, there was, but nothing. It's what I was surprised about is I thought, given that it's like nerd central, I thought there'd be a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff as well.
Yeah,
there really wasn't. It's mainly Star Wars anime, and Marvel or DC.
Yeah,
I thought Lord of the Rings would be in there. That was quite disappointing. It was mainly I liked it. I enjoyed it mainly for the experience of meeting people and the experience of it, rather than actually the event itself. And I did get it for free, so I'm not complaining because I didn't spend any money to go in or anything.
You go to like these. Like I don't think I'm like well versed in anime or like comic books as much as like someone else, like not nearly enough. But like I still thought I would walk into Comic-Con and be like, yeah, I know everything here. I knew nothing. Like I was seeing like anime characters and shows and movies, and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck these are. I was seeing like comic books that I was like, what are these stories? Like there was so much going on at Comic-Con. And I don't know how big the venue was where you were, but the Javits Center here in New York is fucking massive. Like
it was bigger than I expected. I'll say that. It was like we were walking across the stalls, and it would just seem to be never ending in terms of the lines of stalls and stuff like that. It was
the
really
exact
big.
same with like the Javits Center. Like you come up the elevator and you're like kind of on the left side of the building. So like you walk in and you just look straight and right, and it just keeps on going.
Then, just stall.
And then there's three floors of that. So it was super like, it was like overwhelming because like we didn't know where to start. We didn't know like what to do. We didn't know where to go. We didn't know where anything was.
Me. Yeah.
So we like kind of just kept walking around aimlessly, just looking at shit, buying shit, getting content, stuff like that. But yeah, the best part was, and I didn't meet nearly as many people as you did, but like I had a couple people like come up to me and like say that they're a fan of ReelTok as well as just movies and stuff. 14. And
well, I said this to you the other day. I got recognized more in London when we were out and about than I did in Comic-Con, which was like really weird. Like I went to like a bar and I got recognized by 3 people outside. I got recognized in a clothes shop in middle of central London, but I only got recognized like once in Comic-Con. It's just not my audience, is it? Like these people don't care about me, do they? Let's be honest.
I had a funny. Sorry, we'll wrap up the Comic-Con talk in a bit, but I had a funny experience. There was a dude, and it's on I posted a picture of him on my Instagram. A guy in like this really dope Mandalorian costume. He said he made it himself, so I like tapped him on the back, And I was like, yo, man, like this costume's sick. I can't see his face. So I'm like, yo, man, this costume's fucking sick. Like, do you mind if I take a quick picture with you?
I did that with someone as well.
Yeah, I did that with a bunch of cosplayers. But he turns around and he goes, holy shit, George. And he was like, I'm a huge fan of you, bro. And I'm like, wow, that's sick.
So you were getting a photo with each other?
Yeah, literally. We were getting a photo with each other. And then I ended up posting him on my feed. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, Comic-Con, I would love to go back next year, but I weirdly want to go on a Saturday just to see.
Yeah. You should come to the London one. You should all come to the London one. That would be great.
Come to the New York one.
Yeah, true. We'll move on. Anyway, my week's been fine. Other than that, pretty much it. Boring week. We have the main review of the week, which of course has been heavily anticipated. It did get pushed back. What was the original release? It was last year.
Yeah, it was last
Probably
year.
almost a year ago. I feel like it was like last summer.
Maybe.
November?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler,
You're on mute.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
It was sometime last year.
Sometime last year, yeah, whatever. It did get pushed back. And that is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, obviously the direct sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. I'll read the synopsis and then we'll kind of go through people. I'm thinking about going from people who liked it least to most, and then switching through. Then we can go over some spoilers, all that good stuff as well. So, after reuniting with Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales, Brooklyn's full-time friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, is catapulted across the multiverse where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. But when the heroes clash on how to handle the new threat, Miles finds himself pitted against the other spiders and must redefine what it means to be a hero so he can save the people he loves most. What I'm going to do with this, obviously, we'll go into, as we usually do, just thoughts, a few minutes of your thoughts, like what you thought about the film, negatives, positives, and then after that, we can go into kind of the spoilers and obviously some spoiler warning when we go into that as well. But Tyler, I'm going to start with you. We all liked it a lot, to get that out of the way. But Tyler, you obviously liked it least. Then I'll probably go to me and then maybe George or Cam because they were at the higher end. But Tyler, if you want to give your kind of quick overview on the film.
Yeah, it's obviously one of those movies that, like, if you rate anything other than a 5-star, you're going to get people, like, crying in your comments. So I gave it an 8.4, which means it's, like, a feather away from being a 4.5. So it's, like, right on that border. I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade. Like, I'm so happy everyone's loving this movie. Love all the reactions. People say it's the best Spider-Man movie, best comic book movie. I'm over the moon and happy that people are loving it that much. For me, I don't know. I think it's like, so I had my expectations obviously astronomically high, and I saw it a day later, which me seeing it on Friday felt like I saw it 3 months late because like everyone and their mother had already seen it and posted reviews, and everyone was saying like I had crazy high expectations. But they were even surpassed. So then me going into it, I was like, okay, now my expectations are even higher than they were before. And for me, like the first like hour or so, I just really struggled to get into. Like around the halfway point, I was looking at my watch a bunch. I was like, for me, it just wasn't moving very well for me. Like I thought there was some pacing issues. For me personally, I thought the final 45 minutes was like incredible, peak. Nothing could be improved. I'd have no notes. Like I thought it was absolutely incredible. I love the ending. I have zero issues with that cliffhanger ending. Like that seems like a lot of people are having. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't love the first like hour of it. And, but I mean, yeah, it's the greatest like animation I've ever seen in my life. So like animation absolutely lived up to the hype, beyond the hype. All the voice acting was cool. The characters are cool. Like Spot was an awesome, interesting villain. Miguel O'Hara is just epic. All the spider people, epic. But yeah, I don't know. Just didn't fall in love with it immediately. Like I definitely into the Spider-Verse for me. I connected a lot more with the story. Yeah, still really loved it. 9.3.
Okay, so just off of 5 kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. I think this is a film where even if you give it a 4.5, people will get annoyed at you, which is kind of crazy. So I obviously Tyler gives it a 8.4 out of 10, so nearly a 4.5. I give this 4.5. I said in my review that I think this does live up and meet the levels of its monumental predecessors, obviously Into the Spider-Verse. I did do my Spider-Man ranking yesterday, and I think I would have it slightly lower. And when I say slightly, I think it's very slight in terms of a margin of quality. I think the artistic design of this one was just incredible and second to none. It was beaming with inspiring visuals, heart, genuinely funny, which I found from the first film as well, and it doesn't pull any punches, which I said in my review when it comes to just giving some jaw-dropping moments, such as the leap of faith scene in the first one. I think this one has many, maybe not akin directly to that in terms of its quality and how iconic it is, but stuff that really kind of I lost myself in the most positive light. Interestingly enough, Tyler, I actually maybe preferred the first hour.
That's a lot of people have been saying in my comments, but I don't know. For me, I just like kept checking my watch for some reason. I don't know.
Interesting. Because so for me, the only negative I really have, and there isn't much for me with this film, because as I said at the end of my review, this is probably Marvel's second now best project to date for me, anyway. And I think that at times it manages to lose its direction in between the way it wants to go, but then I do think it quickly pulls itself back in and regains focus. But I would say throughout the middle kind of middle section, there is points where it loses direction of which you want what it wants to take, and it kind of comes a little bit bloated. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a crazy negative because I think everything else worked. I loved the characters in this. I adored them. Miguel was amazing. I loved Daniel Kaluuya in this. I thought it was fantastic. I think it was great. I loved I can't remember his name. Forgive me. The Indian Spider-Man. He was so funny. I had a really, really good time with him. And I just think the 6 different artistic styles just worked so well. And I think that multiverse storytelling is very much a thing now that a lot of films try to accomplish. And in my opinion, a lot of films don't do it very well. And I think this does multiverse storytelling in kind of the finest way possible, regardless of its few flaws here and there. But yeah, obviously we're going to spoilers in a second, but 4.5 from me. I really, really enjoyed it. It's the second best Spider-Man movie, the second best Marvel movie for me anyway. And I'm really excited for the second. And I think just to go on what you said, Tyler, about people, about the cliffhanger, I think a lot of people didn't expect it to be a part 1. I think it's most people's concern. They didn't expect it to be a direct setup, which it is. To be fair, they didn't market it like that at times, I would say, but I also didn't have an issue with
the original title of the movie was Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like Infinity War and Endgame were originally Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2.
I don't think casual viewers know that though. Just because I have friends who love Marvel, but I don't think they get in the details. They just a Marvel movie comes out, they watch it, and I don't think any of them knew it was.
I think it depends on how into the
Spider-Verse,
the world you are. Yeah, Spider-Verse. Yeah, that was cool. How into the kind of the world you are, whether you know that or not. Do you know what I mean? Because we would know that because we spend all our days speaking about it. But I think my friends who like the film probably wouldn't know that unless it said Part 1 on the actual title, if that makes sense. But George, if you want to give your thoughts, I know obviously you're very, very high on this.
Yeah, I mean, you guys basically said my thoughts, even though I went with a 5 out of 5 as opposed to a 4.5 or a 4 out of 5. I really fucking love this thing. It took everything that I adore about Into the Spider-Verse and it just kind of amplifies it. And it's odd saying that because typically I like the more condensed, small scale story, like Glass Onion.
We've said this.
We've said this, but walking out of Spider-Verse, I was like, this movie amplifies everything of the first movie and it just does it so well. It is overwhelming with just the amount of information you're being thrown. You have to be on your feet because the jokes are kind of very subtle. But no, I fucking loved this thing. It so quickly rose my ranks of best movie of the year, one of the best animated movies ever, comic book movies, Spider-Man movies. This is sitting top 2 on a lot of lists right now. So much heart, so many amazing character moments. I'm so happy that we got more of Miles's mom, Rio, because they just had so many touching moments that I fucking adored. And mother-son moments just always hit different for me. I just adore them. I love that we got more Gwen Stacy. I love that the movie opens and you basically are like, oh, this is a Gwen Stacy movie, which I adore because I think she was the second best character of Into the Spider-Verse, and I'm happy that we now see a little bit of her backstory and kind of how she became Spider-Girl. The animation, it's one of those things I don't even need to say. Everyone and their mother has said it. It's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you guys watch Spider-Man content, but seeing the animation from the old TV show come back, seeing the Lego animation, and I've heard a lot of people say this as well. It literally just made me feel like a kid again. And I said in my TikTok review, I wish 14-year-old George could have seen this movie because he would have fucking lost it. 26-year-old George lost it as well. But I fucking love this movie. I think the Spot was the perfect villain for Across the Spider-Verse because it was also his origin story. It's not like he was his world-ending plan wasn't coming to fruition in this movie, so it allowed It allowed for a lot more time to be paid attention on Miles and Gwen and Peter B. Parker, and then our whole cast of new characters, Miguel O'Hara, who I just thought was fucking
Oscar
menacing,
Isaac is just,
incredible.
is
Like
so
it
good.
was just like it was such a calm menace. You know what I mean? Like it was like his demeanor was just so like
demanding and stuff.
yeah. It was like, you know what? I'll reference a movie he was in. He felt like the Baron in Dune. Like the Baron doesn't have any scenes where he's like screaming or shouting or like really imposing his physical and like strong presence. And I feel like Miguel O'Hara is kind of on those same lines. Like he's just a very calm dude who's just going to do whatever the fuck he wants. And I love that about his character. And then Daniel Kaluuya as Cyberpunk, I actually didn't even know it was Daniel Kaluuya until after the movie. Until I checked
Really? I thought it was like really like obvious.
I don't know if that's honestly what I was thinking. Cause like now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, like I know Daniel Kaluuya, like I know his voice, blah, blah, blah. But like during the movie, I don't know. I couldn't piece together who the fuck was voicing this character. But no, I thought he was hilarious. He dropped some hysterical one-liners that we can like maybe mention in spoilers. But yeah, overall, I'll end my rant there. I really fucking like this. I already got my tickets to see it again tomorrow night, and I'm really excited.
Already?
It's weird saying this, considering that there's a Nolan movie, a Scorsese movie, a Denis movie, a Fincher movie coming out this year, but I don't see a movie beating Across the Spider-Verse for me this year.
Well, I think especially when you have this undying connection to the universe now because of the first one as well.
Yeah.
But then again, you also have that for
Dune too.
Well,
yeah.
So who knows? Yeah. One question I would ask you guys before I go on to Cam, is Cam here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
One question I wanted to ask you guys before I was to go into Cam's thoughts as well. I saw a few like mainly Americans saying this on Twitter. Did you understand Daniel Kaluuya?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. People I
definitely didn't get all his lines.
Really?
But that wasn't just a Daniel Kaluuya thing. That was a pretty widespread thing
thing.
That like a lot of audio issues in theaters for Spider-Verse.
I don't know if that was an audio thing either, because I think it was just like he was dropping so many one-liners just like under his breath, like randomly. And it's like you're not ready for them. So you don't know what to pay attention to.
I guess so. But
that makes sense.
I did notice in the first like half an hour there was a point where Gwen was speaking when they were having when Vulture was in, when there was a problem with the audio when it was significantly lower than the rest of the sound piece. And I think
that's what I was gonna say. Is like I didn't understand some of Spider-Punk's lines, but it wasn't like because of the accent. It was like it wasn't just him. There was other people who's like there was some background visual sound effects and music throughout the movie where I was like, I don't know, I'm not really picking up a lot of this dialogue because the background music's so like loud in this. So yeah, but that's like a common thing. So if you listen to this and you're like, oh, I didn't pick up some stuff, that's like all over Twitter and social media. People are like, my Spider-Verse screening, I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, Cam, if you want to give your spoiler-free thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not. It's a no camera kind of day. Sorry, but I fucking love this thing, man. I gave it a 98 out of 100. Obviously, I think it's the best movie of the year for sure. I could fully see it dropping down a little bit, but a lot of people asked maybe why it wasn't 100 out of 100, and I think for me that's just there was no leap of faith moment. For me, like there is a moment in this movie that's incredible. That's kind of like it, or it's trying to recapture that magic, and that's kind of just the difference between like 100 out of 198. Like it's not anything crazy, but I would say there wasn't any like scene that I think I'm gonna rewatch 1.5 billion times, and most movies don't have that. But I think that's just a huge testament to Into the Spider-Verse. This movie looks beautiful. All the side characters were great. I don't really have anything to say that you guys didn't. Also Tyler, the first hour, like that was without a doubt my favorite part. So I was shocked to see that in your review. And I heard you say you were checking your watch, but I don't know. I just loved that it was like a Miles and Gwen story for 99% of this movie, and then they got into the multiverse of it, obviously, but it was so like heartfelt in the Miles and Gwen story. And I also, I had a couple of comments on my TikTok of people like saying they hated the animation of Gwen's Earth, and I thought that was one of the most
That was like the best.
blasphemous takes I've ever heard. Yeah, that like that Earth.
It was like a
the way
painting.
the way exactly, and the way it animated behind them with the colors of their emotion and how they were feeling, and like it was that just had me over the top. I was loving it. So that's my spoiler-free thoughts.
I feel like we've got Cam on like his deathbed or something.
You do.
Cam needs an IV drip ASAP.
Yeah.
I also think it's
dehydrated.
I think it's crazy that people ask Cam like what holds it back from a 100 out of 100, where if they know Cam at this point, like he has to watch a movie like 25 times before it can get that. Because Into the Spider-Verse just got it like last week. Like he doesn't just give those out unless like he is in love with that movie for like 5 years. So maybe it'll get there.
It'd be weird if you just gave 100 all the time, wouldn't it? It wouldn't mean anything to that point.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, we'll move into kind of spoilers. It depends where you guys kind of want to start with. Is there any particular guys you want to go into first? Any particular parts you want to go into first?
I want to touch on. I don't even know. I mean, yeah, I guess it'll dive into spoilers, but I want to say I'm with Cam on thinking like the first hour 15, 20, 30 of this movie is like the best part of this movie, because
I said the same. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a video going around like last week or 2 weeks ago, a big creator whose name I won't mention, basically saying that Spider-Man Homecoming is the worst Spider-Man movie because Spider-Man doesn't go through he doesn't struggle or anything. And I think that's just a very like brain dead take, because the character of Spider-Man is never to like physically struggle with villains. It's how he handles like being Spider-Man. Like in this movie, Miles Morales is 15 years old. And I think this movie captures the fact that this is just a kid trying to balance social life, family life, with, love life, with the fact that he is the most powerful man in Brooklyn, in New York City, in the world. So I think this movie captures that really, really goddamn well. And that scene where he's late to his dad's, I guess, becoming captain party.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just kind of, and this is where the animation is just so good, because you kind of like, this movie does a really good job at conveying emotion through animation. And the entire scene when his parents are yelling at him for being late, you could just tell he's like sitting there and he's like, I should tell them right now. But he knows that is the wrong decision to make. And I think this movie captures that aspect of Miles Morales / Spider-Man better than any other, Peter Parker Spider-Man that we've gotten in live action. Maybe not just as good, maybe slightly better than Spider-Man 2, in my opinion. I think that movie also does a very good job at kind of showing what being Spider-Man does to Peter Parker's life. But that's why this is like the first hour and a half was like some of my favorite parts of this movie, because it is truly
most down to earth kind of thing.
It is so down to earth, and it is just truly showing us and I don't want to say like correct version of Spider-Man, because obviously there's no proper way to create this character in animation or live action, but it just does such a good job at showing us that very important part of Miles Morales' life.
I would also say that comes down to like the animation style as well, because within the Spider-Verse films, the use of color in the animation, especially what Cam mentioned in Gwen Stacy's Earth, the kind of painted visual style and the use of color there, when she was speaking to Captain Stacy, obviously her dad, when she's going through the emotional beats with him about how she's kind of left because obviously he found out that she was Spider-Gwen, whatever it is. And I think that the use of color in that really, signifies the emotions you're seeing. And I think it's hard to sometimes create that in live action. It's also even harder to create that in animation sometimes, what we've seen in other films. I think the Spider-Verse films do that in such a way which I haven't really seen before. Tyler, do you want to go into kind of, obviously George spoke about it a little bit in terms of the first hour, in terms of why you kind of thought the second half was better or whatever?
I don't know. I think it's a pretty common take. I think from what I've seen is that the first hour is the best and what people like the most. Like I think most people align with you guys. I think for me, just I don't know if it was the first hour because I really enjoyed once I got to Miles' story. For me, I just didn't connect with the whole Gwen story and like the whole first battle with Gwen, Miguel O'Hara, and the motorcycle lady versus yeah, basically the vulture, right?
Miles,
Who they're going. Yeah, so
I'm gonna give you a hint here, Tyler. Sorry to cut you off, but if you can't remember a name, throw out Spider-Man or Spider-Woman because that was Spider-Woman.
Okay,
yeah,
smart.
Just gonna help you out there.
So yeah, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Man, and Spider-Woman going against the Vulture. Like that whole like probably the first 30 minutes because like all Gwen's story and then into that. For me, just I don't know, it just didn't like suck me in. I guess so like I said, it's like an 8.4 out of 10. So I'm not like dogging it. I'm just saying like I don't think I connected to Gwen's story much. So since this was such a Gwen heavy movie, I think that might be why I didn't grasp onto it as much as some other people. But once I got into Miles' story, like all this stuff with Miles back in his Earth, his Brooklyn, with Visions Academy, with trying to figure out if he's going to what he's doing for college with his family, his dad becoming captain, his mom and his relationship, her realizing he's starting to get into girls and all that. Absolutely love because I love the more grounded Spider-Man. That's why like these multiverse stuff start to go a little off the rails. So like when I say like the final 45 minutes, I mean the whole like final battle with and then the final reveal, which we'll talk about obviously in spoilers. Like the whole final like 15 minutes especially, I thought were like incredible. But like the whole Spider Society middle chunk was really fun and cool. All the different animation styles. I definitely think like for me, some of them were like a little too fan servicey for my tastes. Like I was just like, okay, whatever, cool. Like you have like Garfield and Maguire and you have Gambino and like I like when they went to Venom's universe. That was super fun. But I don't know. Like I really really enjoyed the movie. I didn't go away from it wanting to like rewatch it immediately. Like I don't even really have like an itch to rewatch it. But I think like I said in my review, once Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, I can easily see a world where like I come back and watch this and it like raises like a whole like 1 point to become like a 9.4 out of 10 or something once like the whole story's done and I can probably appreciate the second one more. But again, I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade.
It definitely makes sense. I'm pretty sure Anna said the same as you actually. I think I have seen some people say the same as you. I just think that most people preferred the first half because myself, I actually really liked the first scene with Vulture. I thought Gwen's story was working really well. I actually just really, really enjoyed when it switches over to Miles and his, the introduction to obviously Spot. I thought that was great. I really, really enjoyed that bit. I think he's a fantastic villain. One thing I would say is obviously, when you come, with these films, it is obviously direct and fan service, like you said, with a lot of these cameos. I've seen, in terms of the Donald Glover, Charles Gambino cameo, I've seen love, I've seen hate for this. Obviously, he comes in, he was Prowler in Homecoming.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the Prowler, but yeah,
but he was
Aaron Davis, yeah.
Aaron Davis, yeah. And I've seen love for this, I've seen hate for this. I personally didn't really like it that he was in it, and I don't really know why. Did you guys like that or not?
I didn't I didn't freak out about it, especially since we're three Tom Holland Spider-Man movies deep, and he makes like 5 minutes worth of screen time. And
he's not like a character.
Yeah, so there was no it was just like one of those cool Easter eggs, where it's like, oh, Childish Gambino, let's just toss him in this movie as Aaron Davis, and then they kind of reprise that role in Across the Spider-Verse. The one thing that stood out to me in that scene was just how seamlessly they meshed live action and animation.
A lot of films struggle with that.
Dude, that blew my fucking mind. I wasn't expecting that.
Especially in the is it the Venomverse?
Yeah.
That was really good. Obviously, Spot is going through because you find out he can go to all the different multiverses, and he ends up in he goes to the Lego universe or whatever. When we see J.K. Simmons again because he's not in all of them apparently.
He's in every single one.
He is. Yeah,
J.K. Simmons is the one constant across
across
all universe.
Yeah. Where else?
Hilarious. He goes
I
love that.
The Venom universe, the Lego one. Where else did he go in that scene?
He went to
like an old school one, like
Oh yeah, the old one. Yeah. I don't know the names for all of them. But I actually really liked that scene. I know what they do with that, and even me who hasn't seen, I've seen the first Venom film. I've never seen any of the Lego films or anything like that. I really, really enjoyed a little bit of fan service here and there, but I can definitely see why people don't like those sort of things. And I think, George, what you're saying is exactly right. Films struggle to mesh live action animation all the time. I see constant efforts with this where it really doesn't really, really go to plan anyway.
Yeah, and this was just so seamless. It's funny though, because I thought that scene was it just looked so natural, but the one scene, and I don't know if you guys feel the same, the one part of this movie where I was like, that like didn't look great was when we had the close-up of Andrew Garfield. Like that's where it literally just felt like they just took a frame
Just
from
tried to.
They took a frame from. Oh, I thought you meant like Andrew Garfield looked weird. I was like, they just took it out of Chasm.
No, he means how it showed.
Like,
it
didn't like it looked like it wasn't supposed to be there, which obviously it wasn't. Like in the movie, like that is a like hologram or whatever they want to call it. But yeah, that part just it just stood out to me as like, and it's a cool moment. Like I enjoy that. Obviously they gave us a little fan service stuff. You know, you're going across the Spider-Verse, you might as well just throw in a quick, you know, clip of Andrew, quick clip of Toby. But that part, that like 8 seconds that it was on screen, I was like, the animation here is just, and it's not animation, it's just like the meshing of the two animations just didn't look all that entirely well.
I think the writing is just so crazy good for the whole, I was gonna say Across the Spider-Verse, but I guess like the whole Spider-Verse trilogy they're building, because like they basically built it so that like Miles Morales is the cause of every Spider-Man suffering, which is just like crazy because Spider-Man's been a character for what, probably 70-ish years now. And like just to be able to like thinking as a writer, like, okay, we've had so many iterations of Spider-Man, what's a story we can make to make them all sync up and join the Spider-Verse? It's like basically making Miles Morales an anomaly that's the reason every other Spider-Verse is going to get their Uncle Ben's killed, going to have all these villains to face. Like, it's just like Miles Morales as the anomaly is just like causing so much havoc across the entire multiverse of Spider-Man. I think that writing is just so creative and like such a smart way. Like Seth was saying, how like so many people are doing multiverse stuff nowadays, but that's just such a smart way to make the multiverse actually like a valid story, as opposed to just, hey, let's do a multiverse story because everyone's doing it and we can throw in a bunch of cameos and stuff. I think this is like probably the, I'd say this is the best. Even like I prefer Everything Everywhere All at Once to both these movies. In terms of multiverse handling, like I think Spider-Verse is the gold standard for it.
Yeah, I think it's up there. It's excuse me. While I was watching this movie, I knew that like the main focus was on, you know, Miles and the characters. It's a very character-driven Spider-Man story. So, you know, as the movie kind of progressed, you get bits and pieces of the Spot, and you kind of watch him like transform into this like truly like threatening thing. But the entire time I was watching, I was like, how are they, like, I didn't see Spot as like the problem. Does that make sense? Like, I didn't see him as being the only thing Miles has to deal with. So I also thought, like I'm completely on your side here, where it's like it's such a creative little addition to make it like, okay, the spider that bit Miles is just not from his universe, and that's causing this ripple effect across the multiverse. And that again goes right back to the character of Spider-Man. Just he's now got the weight of the multiverse on his shoulders, when at first he had the weight of Brooklyn on his shoulders.
And it's about like learning how to handle that. Like it's Spider-Man, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like now he's got to learn how to like overcome this, and it's just that it was such a. I'm right there with you on this, Tyler. It's just such a simple little addition to, and it's not a little addition. It's the catalyst for Beyond the Spider-Verse, but it's such like a very unique and very refreshing like problem to throw on our main character. This movie could have ended, and they could have played Beyond the Spider-Verse right after, and I would have sat in the theater for another 3 hours.
Oh no!
Oh yeah, same. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
Yeah, like I was honestly upset when the movie didn't just automatically run itself back after it ended.
I'm glad, like when you're doing a cliffhanger, they did it right in terms of the movie is supposed to come out in a year, less than a year technically, but I'd say like the gold standard for like a cliffhanger, give us the conclusion in a year. If it was like Into the Spider-Verse to this, where it's like cliffhanger, enjoy sitting for the next 6 years, then I think like I would agree with the criticism and be like, that's such a horseshit ending. We're going to have to wait 6 years until we see this. But it'll probably be within a year. I mean, I'm worried about that March release date. We'll see how that stands. But the Spot, like Jason Schwartzman as a Spot was.
Is that when it's meant to be out?
Yeah, Beyond the Spider-Verse like March 2024.
Oh no. I don't think it's
we'll see.
I don't think that's
but I think they did a lot of it in parallel, so we'll see.
I don't
But
think that's happening at all.
But they haven't mentioned anything with like the
Not
writers.
they're writing it right now.
Right, the writer's strike, they've never mentioned that delaying it, so I think it's all written. So I'm sure they did it in parallel. But Jason Schwartzman as a Spot was so good. And that's why I'm interested to see where the Spot goes and Beyond the Spider-Verse, because he was like the catalyst in this story in terms of getting the multiverse kind of re-kicked into gear, transporting all between different dimensions and kind of getting Miles back sucked into the story and connecting with Gwen and connecting with the Spider Society. So like, will the Spot be kind of just across the Spider-Verse villain that's meant to kind of just kick back into the gear, the multiversal story? Or will, like, because we saw him in this movie, he was pretty incompetent. He's kind of still just discovering how to use his spots, his powers.
He's like adjusting to being a villain like Miles is.
Right. So, like, will he just be like the transitory villain in this one to kick off what Beyond the Spider-Verse will be? Or will he, like, master his powers? Like, Beyond the Spider-Verse, he's, like, knows how to use it perfectly, and he's, like, the big bad villain, and Spot is even more powerful than he was in this. But, yeah, it was fun seeing not only Miles Morales continue to develop his powers, but we saw the Spot develop his powers as well, and I thought that was super cool and unique to get like a villain origin story as well.
I think at like the end there is kind of what they were going for, is like he's kind of figured out his powers because he gets to Miles Earth and he's all like, here's a bunch of spots. My spots are around, whatever he be doing with his spots. But I Jason Schwartzman was such a standout in this movie for me. Him and Daniel Kaluuya. Spider-Punk, which I think most people agree with, that he's like the best Spider-Man that they introduce outside of obviously Miles and Gwen.
I probably have Miguel.
Like, you think Miguel?
I don't Miguel.
Actually, yes, no, okay.
But I don't really count him, kind of, yeah.
I think Miguel was like, everyone knew he'd be great. Like, did anyone deny Oscar Isaac would be great? So I think I take that back. I think Daniel
would it not be the same with
Daniel such a surprise, like, for this kind of thing. I don't know. This was a different like thing than I'm used to with Daniel Kaluuya. I'm used to him being pretty calm and melancholy and just like, doing his thing. And I feel like he was fun and energetic in this, which was a little different. So I was a little surprised how much I enjoyed it.
I guess so. I also feel like he was also quite calm and just doing his thing in this one. Do you know what I mean? He's just there.
Well, yeah, I guess
doesn't really get involved
calm.
too much. He just gives his little one-liners and stuff a lot of the time.
Yeah, his line when where were they? I think they were in the Indian universe.
The Indian universe.
And like the Spot was like consuming the buildings. And Daniel Kaluuya's character, Cyberpunk, goes, it's a metaphor for capitalism.
Yeah, that was funny.
Peter lost it.
I think to what Cam's saying, though, is that Daniel Kaluuya wasn't really shown in the trailers, whereas Miguel O'Hara, we got minutes of him in the trailers.
Yeah,
so I think that's why we all knew he was going to be epic, whereas Daniel Kaluuya was more of like a watching the movie surprise.
Well, I think with this as well, that all the like voice actors, I think they do such a phenomenal job at casting the voice actors, where I could name so many of them being like they were amazing. You've got Jason... What's his name? Schwartzman?
Mr. Wes Anderson.
Schwartzman. Yeah. Who was amazing. Or Daniel Kaluuya, who was amazing. You've got Oscar Isaac, who, of course, was amazing. I just think that so many of them stand out as they do a phenomenal job at casting these roles.
I really liked Issa Rae's Spider-Woman. She's kind of like the right-hand man to Oscar Isaac's.
The first pregnant superhero.
Yeah, and people freaking out that she's pregnant, whatever. But I really liked her character. I think my standout character for this movie, like, not standout in the sense that like I didn't think they'd be great, but my favorite character coming away from this was Gwen. I think Haley Steinfeld just did an incredible job as her, and then again the animation on her Earth just like made me lose my mind because I loved it so much. But I also will say I feel like in sequels a lot of times they kind of try to like almost send their character back so that they can grow again, because like at the end of Into the Spider-Verse he's became Spider-Man, right? So like where do you go from there? And I enjoyed that in this movie. It's basically like he's still confident on himself. He's still like, I'm Spider-Man. I'm I can do this. I should be in this Spider Society. And basically it's just everyone else saying you're not. Like in Miguel O'Hara is like, you're the only one that's not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be Spider-Man. This spider didn't come from your Earth. You got Peter Parker killed. And I think that's I think that's like a fun way to do it, where he still has to like prove to everyone else now that he's Spider-Man, rather than like reverting himself back to where he's still not confident or something like that.
I think one of probably my favorite scene in the whole film is obviously when we find out that Miles, he's the original anomaly. Is that right? So he's the anomaly of the spiders, whatever. And he obviously finds out, we find out that Miguel tries to trap him because he shows that his dad is going to die, and that's part of the plan, kind of like the butterfly effect, and he can't get in the way of that. Otherwise, obviously, things will happen. And I think that just the most impressive scene of this film is him trying to get away and all the different spider variations chasing him up the building. I think that was just incredible the way that was set out, and I had such a barrel of laughs going through it and seeing all these different variants. And yes, we did see this in the trailer. We knew how many how many videos did you see about this? Is how many variants are going to be in Spider-Verse, whatever. I think that just worked in such a way, and that was probably my favorite scene. When he gets at the top, Oscar Isaac kind of catches him, Miguel shouts at him, whatever, and I thought that was a really, really powerful moment of him getting away from kind of a moral dilemma, isn't it? And again, it comes back to what George was saying, Spider-Man learning how to be a hero is the moral dilemma of the universe or saving his dad, I think is the primary thing there.
That entire sequence just had my jaw on the fucking floor. Because
that was my leap of faith. Not as obviously, like I said, not a leap of faith, but
I agree with Cam in I don't think this movie has a leap of faith scene. There's no doubt in my mind that Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to give us one of those, since that's going to be the trilogy conclusion. But no, that entire scene I think was so well crafted because it was such a fantastic balance of action, incredible animation, nostalgia bait, as well as like emotion. Like it started off as just an emotional scene. Miguel is telling Miles basically everything, and Miles is kind of carrying this weight while learning that Gwen and Peter B. Parker also knew about it. So it starts off as like this very emotional, like kind of heartbreaking scene from like the perspective of Miles Morales. And then it turns into just 10 minutes of nonstop chaos. Like that one scene warrants 10 rewatches just to catch every single Spider-Man that they had on screen. And then, once they were kind of done with the nostalgia bait and that kind of stuff, we get a really good scene with Peter B. Parker and Miles that I really fucking liked. I love their, mentor-mentee relationship, almost father-son relationship-ish, or older brother, younger brother relationship. I think that might be more accurate. And then we dive right back into another just exquisite chase scene, this time when they're going like up that building. I think that just looked amazing. Incredible, man. That looked so goddamn good. I don't know if you guys saw this in IMAX, but I felt like I was in the scene. And then
I would have loved to have seen this in IMAX.
It was crazy. And then of course that scene ends with not leap of faith-esque, but it's just like one of those scenes where like the main character like finds himself, like he's made his decision, he knows what he wants to do, he's gonna say his little cool one-liner, and it's just gonna be like a very uplifting scene. So that entire sequence was just so well crafted because there was such a roller coaster of emotions, and I think they all worked very well together. And Miguel O'Hara was just a fucking menace. That man did not want to stop in that scene.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we can go from that to obviously where he gets out and then ends up in, if I'm not mistaken, he ends up in what he thinks is his Earth, but it's Earth 42. Is that right?
Yeah, it's Earth 42 because he forgets that machine that like reads your genetics picked up the fact that spider that bit him was not from his universe. That
from
scene,
his universe, yeah.
Did you guys expect that? Because that scene actually like
when he gets there, or
when he gets there and he's talking to his parents, and then you keep seeing Gwen on the side of the building. I really thought that was the same universe.
I did. So obviously we see him going into where he lives, and then Gwen is kind of on the outside of the building, kind of looking in, waiting for him, and he's inside. I was the same as George. I thought it was the same universe. Miles sees Rio, his mom, and he basically goes on this big, tyrant tour and basically admits that he is Spider-Man. But little do we know in this universe that he, if I'm right in saying, doesn't exist, because the Prowler has become obviously a lot more powerful, and we see what's his uncle's name again?
Aaron.
Aaron comes back. He's happy to see his uncle. We meet him. He's back. Whether that's obviously quite a big reveal there. I don't know if we knew that. His uncle takes him, upstairs, and they go into kind of this. Someone obviously knocks Miles out. Who is that someone? We learn to find out. Miles wakes up. He is kind of strapped to a punch bag. He's trapped with his uncle. He finds out his uncle is Prowler, and Prowler is obviously more powerful than ever. And then we have the big reveal. This is the one that everyone's speaking about, the cliffhanger, because someone comes down and takes the mask off. And who is that someone? It's another variant of Miles Morales. And the film ends with the two variants of Miles staring each other off, which is obviously going to lead to so much more, because he's in Earth 42, what he thought was his Earth. And then we find out, obviously, Gwen is in a completely different universe. She's in his Earth, his original Earth.
I was waiting, and I think this would have put this movie like over the edge for me in terms of like truly calling it one of the greatest of all time. If the movie ended, and I love the way the movie ended, I have no problem with the cliffhanger. I knew going into it that this was a part one, and if anything is labeled part one, part two, you should expect a cliffhanger. But there's a very awesome scene in Into the Spider-Verse where Miles has Peter B. Parker in the exact same situation, where he's like tied to a punching bag, and Peter B. Parker gets out of it as easily as possible. He's like, don't look at the eyes, look at the hands. If this movie ended with Miles just being as cocky and confident as possible and like electrocuting himself out and just being like, don't look at the eyes, look at the hands, I would have shit my pants on the spot. I think that would have been such an amazing callback. And
would that not have made it like almost counterproductive, because the other variant of Miles is meant to be that kind of cocky, I guess, arrogant guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like they stare at each other and it's the same Miles, if that makes sense. Just one of them is kind of, on the other side of things.
Or like,
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, or if he like went to do something with his hands and the other Miles just like grabs his hands.
The other Miles just like did the same thing
hands,
to him,
bro. Yeah,
more powerful to him, whatever, and did the callback to what Peter was saying earlier. I think that'd be even better. Tyler, what were your thoughts?
He's still on the punching bag when the movie ends. I'm still holding out hope that he's gonna say that line in and Beyond the Spider-Verse.
That'd be a cool callback.
No, like the ending for me was incredible, and like the more that I think about it, the more we talk about it. It's one of those things, like when you see any movie, it just depends on what day you watch it, what mood you're in. Like I wasn't in a bad mood or anything, but like everything is so subjective on just like when you happen to stumble across a movie. So I think rewatching this, I don't want to see it in the theater just because like I feel like my next rewatch has to be without kids around, being like loud and annoying. So like when I watch it alone, I think like I can easily see this going up. But I love that final scene so much. It was such Coraline vibes when like he goes in there and it's like, this isn't your real family. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be Coraline flashbacks, and I just loved it because I was the same as you two. Did not expect that at all. Like didn't even expect, like I don't know. And I feel like it's one of those things like once you realize like the spider, the DNA got red and he went to the wrong universe. Like it's like, oh man, we should have connected those dots, but it took me by surprise. And the whole Aaron scene where like Aaron was like, you could tell he knew something was up with this Miles, but like you wanted to kind of believe that something wasn't up, and then they go like up to the roof and then the Prowler comes in, and man, that was just like, I don't know. I couldn't think of a better way to end the movie than that. And it's crazy how people are mad about it.
Do you guys know that it was going to be Miles, I'm assuming?
I think before he pulled off his mask, I knew it would be Miles, but like there was a little bit of moment of disbelief.
When he got hit across the face, I was like, who the fuck did that?
Yeah.
And then I thought that was like an animation tactic they used where it was like his Uncle Carter was hitting him over the face, but it animated it as the Prowler. So I like thought I was smarter than the movie, and then I realized no, I'm actually just an idiot.
Yeah, but when the camera panned over though to like the silhouette in the corner, that's where I was like, okay, that's gotta be Miles.
Well, I must be stupid because I said to Anna after, and she was like, yeah, I know, obviously it was Miles. And I was like, I didn't even realize for some reason. I thought it was someone completely different. But I didn't have an issue with the ending at all. I think I went into it knowing there'd be a cliffhanger, knowing it was a part one, knowing it was a setup to Beyond the Spider-Verse. Is that what we're talking? Yeah, Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and I know we touched on it earlier. Like maybe the casual moviegoer never knew that this was a part one and a part two. Yeah. But it's also the second movie of a confirmed trilogy. Like, how many second movies in the trilogy don't end on some sort of cliffhanger?
Yeah. And I will say, like, the comparison a lot of people make is like Infinity War ended on a cliffhanger, which is true. But for me, I can watch it. I watch Infinity War and I don't like immediately feel like, oh, I need to watch Endgame now. Yeah. Whereas I feel like when I rewatch these Across the Spider-Verse, I'll watch it. I'll be like, I immediately need to watch Beyond the Spider-Verse. So I feel like Infinity War stands alone a little better. But
I don't hate like that argument. I've seen a lot of people say like, if you look at Infinity War as a Thanos movie, it is like a complete film. And like, I don't hate that argument, but like, it's still a cliffhanger because it's not a fucking
You don't
Thanos
usually
movie.
watch a new sequel and then 99% of the time you will want to watch the next one.
Yeah.
The whole point of it is a setup for the next one. Whilst I could watch it on its own and have a great time with it again across Spider-Verse, even if when the next one comes out. The whole point of it is to set up the outcome of what is going to be the eventual outcome of Beyond the Spider-Verse. And I think even though it stands alone as a film, you're always going to be excited for the new one because that's the whole point of it, realistically. It's to confirm a trilogy. But then again, it goes back to what we said earlier. I think a lot of people it's not in the title, so a lot of people just don't know that. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people aren't in the universe as much as we are, I guess, is the main thing.
I mean, I guess.
My movie showing was very funny because there were people that were like, "What the fuck? What's going on?" when the movie ended, and I'm like, "Yeah, guys, we just leave now." And they also, I was like, "The movie's over, people," but they were definitely caught off guard because I heard it from like 5 or 6 people that were sitting near me at the theater.
I love the mental image of Cam being like the usher of the Spider-Verse and being like, "Guys, it's over. Like, there's nothing else."
I also knew there was no post-credit scene. And so like I was trying to get out of there and they're waiting, for a post-credit scene, which is understandable for a Marvel movie, but like I was just trying to get out of there.
It's not coming.
There wasn't one in the first one, was there?
There was.
There was.
There was.
I forget exactly, but I think it was. Oh, it was the tease for Miguel. It was
yeah.
it teased Miguel era.
But I think the ending for me was the opposite effect of the movie as a whole, where I feel like when I went into it, my expectations were even higher than people's expectations were sky high. But my 2 friends who like aren't really like online, but they love Marvel, I saw both their Letterboxd reviews and they were like a 3.5 and a 4. And like the only thing they said in their reviews is like, what a bullshit ending. So like I think I went into it expecting like a terrible cliffhanger, like something where it's just like the middle of an action sequence and it just stops and says to be continued. So like for me, when I saw the ending, I was like, oh, that was great. Like so I think my expectations were so low for the ending.
It's literally just
why are people mad?
I also I don't think it's as abrupt as people were saying. People are saying like this movie is missing an
entire. It's the same as like every.
Like I've seen people say that this movie is literally missing a third act, and I'm like, where were you for that entire chase sequence that took place like 5 minutes ago? Did you completely ignore that? And it's also like the final, like, I don't know if it was the final shot, but like the shot of all the spider people on the building, like teaming up. It's like, yeah, they're going to save Miles. They got to save the multiverse. They got to take down the Spot, and they got to take down Miguel. Like that's the perfect place to end.
It's literally how the majority of franchise sequels ends. It shows you, it foreshadows what you are going to expect in the third film.
I'm just
I just don't really understand the argument. I don't.
It's like
I don't get it.
Empire, Two Towers, The Dark Knight,
like the Pirates of the Caribbean films. Dead Man's Chest is a really good one.
Yeah, like all of these movies are ending
with a reveal.
They're
something to look
not
forward
ending. Like none of them are ending. Like they're all just setting up, and it's like, why is the discourse on it so aggressive for this movie right now?
I get if you didn't like it, but what surprises me is how surprised you are by it.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think the main.
That's a good way to put it.
If you didn't like the ending, that's fine. You can like and not like what you want. But why are you surprised by a cliffhanger like that when every franchise has been doing that for God knows how many years? It's just it's weird to me.
I feel like being mad about the ending is not a valid criticism. Not loving the first hour like I did, not a valid criticism. It's just something that wasn't for me. The only like valid across the board not criticism, but like knock people have on it that I think like is the only one that I think is valid is what we've already mentioned. Like there's no big needle drop moment. There's no big like leap of faith moment to where you're like, because like I didn't see anything. There's so many awesome, amazing scenes in this movie, but there's no like YouTube clip scene where I'm like, I just want to watch that quick 3-minute snippet real quick. There's so many amazing scenes.
Would be that chase scene, I'll be honest.
Which that's valid, yeah. But I think like I don't think anything touched like leap of faith, which is what like it's not just people talking on this podcast here. I think I've seen on a couple other Letterboxd reviews being like, that's the only thing holding back from me from being like perfect is like there wasn't that like one iconic moment, which as we mentioned, like I can't remember who said it on this podcast earlier, is like most movies don't have that. So it's not like a knock on the movie. It's just like something that was in the first that we're like, man, if they just would have had that one thing, then it would have been like the greatest thing of all time. But like, just before I finish talking about it, I just want to say like, I know for me, my criticisms like of like not like loving the Gwen storyline and being sucked into it, I don't think that's valid. I think it's just like personally just my taste that I just didn't love.
Well, I
like,
think that is valid. I think that anything's valid for you.
well, I'm
You know what I
saying,
mean?
yeah, sure, I guess, but I don't know. It's just like for me, I just didn't care for it in terms of as much as the Miles story, which why it took me a little longer to get into it. And I think when I edited my Letterboxd review, because like saying the first hour is truly wrong. It was like the first 30 minutes when it was all the Gwen, because like immediately once it got to the
It was
Miles
just
story,
before
I
the
loved
title
it.
screen.
Right,
Before
I
the
loved
title
everything
screen,
with the
yeah.
Miles and his family. So like I think the first hour was overshooting it because I think it was only probably like the first 30 minutes before we got to Miles' story, but it still was a good chunk of time before we got to Miles at all. I love the intro with like the drums and the like. I was like, oh shit, there's like
Yeah, it was cool.
a Whiplash intro that's getting me like ready to frickin' run through a brick wall right now.
That was cool, yeah. Anything else anyone wants to go over before we transition? I think we've been on this quite a while now. Anything else? Or we'll just go over ratings. George gave it
Soundtrack
a...
bangs.
5
Say
out of
again?
5.
The
What about it?
soundtrack bangs.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah, the soundtrack was
dude,
Soundtrack
very...
bangs.
How have we not mentioned this? Metro
The
Boomin
soundtrack was
absolutely
very,
smacked them.
very good.
And just added in
I-
Daniel Pemberton's score, also incredible.
The score was
Dude,
so good. It's
you
in
know
the
how-
sequences.
You get like Spotify Wrapped, at the end of the year. I think the amount of times I played "Am I Dreaming" yesterday, it's already my number 1 most played song of the year.
I'm assuming that you did that with Sunflower on the Into the Spider-Verse one as well.
No, I didn't.
Really? I did.
No.
Even I did that with
I think
Sunflower.
I did that more for "What's Up, Danger."
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, the soundtrack was amazing. George, 5 out of 5. Myself, 4.5 out of 5. Cam, like a 98, I think.
97.5 is the accurate score that he told me, but 98 is the
98,
letterbox score.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So 5 out of 5, and then Tyler, an 8.4, which equals a high 4 out of 5. Let us obviously know your thoughts, but we'll move on to our other reviews of the day. We'll first go into Reality, which obviously Tyler has only seen because Tyler has watched every release ever, because he is just that guy. But Reality is the new, I think it's like a political drama thriller with
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney, and apparently she's great, but I'll let you touch on this, Tyler.
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
oh,
quickly.
go ahead.
I love in our rundown where Seth just writes, "Going to assume that Tyler watched a few."
I don't know the names of these, man. Like,
Listen, I do it strategically. Like Seth is like the king of like rankings on Letterboxd. Cam's like the nerd news guy. George is like the ultimate film bro. Like I need my niche, and my niche is the new release guy. Like we all have to. It's a business after all. I got to have my corner of the internet. But the funny thing is, the only reason I watched this when I did is because Neon sent me like a Sanctuary screener, and I just messed up. Like you get like 3 watches of it, and like I tried watching it on my phone to cast it to my TV. Did it the first time, it wasn't working. Like I only heard the sound but no video, so like I refreshed it, and it's like you only have 2 more watches left. I'm like shit. So then I like tried a different browser on my phone to cast it, and then that didn't work either. It's like 1 more watch left, and then I tried one other thing, and it's like you have no more watches of Sanctuary. I was like, God damn it! Like that was my whole plan for the night.
Tough.
So I emailed them and he gave me a new link, so I can still watch it like today.
Such a brutal story to hear.
No, I know. That's the only reason I watch Reality. It was like my whole plan was to watch
Bro.
Sanctuary tonight, but I'm like, okay, well, watch Reality then.
I'm just thinking if that happened to me on like a massive
Like a massive early
like if
screen
they
or something.
pre-sent me Oppenheimer and that happened, my laptop would be in the garbage.
I've
Yeah.
never had that where it's been like an amount. Mine's usually, whenever I've had early screenings sent, mine's usually you can watch it until this date. That's
Yeah,
weird
I
to
don't
see
know
the
what
amount
was
I
wrong
see.
with mine. Like I've never tried watching it on my phone before because I just saw that they had the feature of like if you turn it on your phone, you can like cast it to your TV, and I was like, oh, I don't have to watch it on my computer. I can watch it on my projector. That'd be sweet. But yeah, so that was tough. So then I watched Reality instead, which I really loved. Like I watched it like the day it came out because it's a Max original and it dropped on like a Tuesday, which is just really.
Oh, is it a
random.
Max? That's why it's only in cinemas here. That's quite annoying.
Yep,
It's
yeah,
only been
Max
streaming on
original. Sydney Sweeney is just so good, man. Like, so this is a TV movie, so she can't get Oscar nominated
Oh.
for it, but she's for sure gonna get Emmy nominated. I
I
don't
was
know.
confused when I saw that people were saying that she was going to
Right.
get an Emmy.
I have no clue how that all works. Why this is like designated as a TV movie, even though it's like a Max or like it's just all weird how the politics of that stuff works. But it's like a true movie. It's like a 90-minute long thriller, and it's all about basically it's a real life story of this woman who works for the NSA, and basically like it all takes place within like 3 hours of a story, or maybe like an hour and a half, and all the dialogue is ripped directly from like voice recording that like an FBI agent or police would have, where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to record this conversation. So for me, some of the dialogue was like really weird because I was like, it feels really weird that they're saying that in that way, but like it's 100% ripped from like what actual agents, like none of the dialogue's improvised, is all from that. So Sydney Sweeney did great. It's basically like she's accused of taking classified documents home that's about that, like kind of reveals that Russia was like interfering with the U.S. elections in like 2016. So then the FBI raided her house to see if she actually took the documents, and it stressed me out, man. Like in my previous works, I've dealt with like classified documents before. Like I've worked jobs, been like that, and I've never done anything near like that. But it just like stressed me. I was like, man, I'm like breathing heavy. I can't imagine if like the FBI showed up my door one day and they're like, yo, you take some stuff from like the facility. I'm like, I don't think so, but I'm like panicking now. Like that'd be so scary for the FBI to say like, we got a search warrant, get out.
It's a very like tense and uncomfortable watch.
Yeah, it's all because Sydney Sweeney's so good at like portraying that she's just like innocent, like chill, easygoing, and she's like, yeah, let me just like feed my dog, and like I don't really know what's going on, and then there's just like all these FBI agents ripping through her house, like they're like, you know why we're here, and she's like, I really don't. I'm like, fuck God, I'm like stressed out right now, but very good. It's like it's nothing that'll blow your mind. It's a very dialogue intensive, like 1.5 hour drama thriller, but Sydney Sweeney's great, and I think she'd be in my top 5 for like Oscar actresses this year, like we talked about last week with Halle Bailey. Like there's not a ton of great actress nominations yet for Best Actress, so I'd put her in my top 5. But like we said, it's like an Emmy as opposed to an Oscar, so I don't know.
Why is a TV movie not counted as an Oscar? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, especially when it's like a Max original. So it's like,
isn't it because doesn't the movie have to have like a wide release in order to be?
That could be a thing. Yeah, I think you're right. Which is why like I think Netflix is like pulling back on their whole like not putting stuff, like I think they're going to start putting stuff in like only New York and LA or something for theaters just so they can get like Oscar nominees. But that's all I have to say about Reality. I think if you want to watch a good drama thriller, it's very quick, and Sydney Sweeney, incredible acting. And if you like the type of movies that just stress you out, like the Good Time, Uncut Gems, stuff like that, this is one that'll kind of make you stressed.
Well, I think before we go into like the TV finales that came out this week, which I'm sure you guys want to speak about a little bit, Tyler, I'm assuming you watched a couple of other 2023 releases this week.
Yeah, I'll just go super quick because there's nothing crazy here. But I saw About My Father, which is a Sebastian Maniscalco, Robert De Niro comedy. Enjoyed it way more than expected. As you guys know, I'm not a huge comedy guy, so like for me to like comedy or rate it above like a 2.5 stars, pretty big deal. I think a lot of people don't like this one. Like, let me see what the average Letterboxd score on it is. It's a 2.7, which is kind of common with like a average comedy. I feel like it, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think Robert De Niro just had a ton of fun here. And I watched Dirty Grandpa just randomly like the day before, and I just did not love that Robert De Niro comedy.
No, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Whereas I had some fun with this. I think it might just be because I like Sebastian Maniscalco, the comedian, but I had a good time with it. And Anders Holmvik from Workaholics, he's in this one. I thought he was super funny. And then I saw what's the other comedy? The Machine, which is the Burt Kreischer. So like
that's really weird. You know the UFC? They've been pushing that. I have no idea what it is. It's on they put it on the cage and everything. It's their like sponsor at the minute.
Maybe it's because Joe Rogan and Burt Kreischer are boys, and Joe Rogan has UFC pull. I don't know.
Possibly, honestly.
May was just the month of comedians making movies because we had Charlie Day's Fool's Paradise. We had Burt Kreischer's The Machine, and we had Sebastian Maniscalco's About My Father. And for me, of the three, About My Father absolutely won. I didn't love The Machine. Like if you've seen that comedy special, like it's just crazy to me how Burt Kreischer has made that his whole personality for the past like 10 years, The Machine story. So it's basically just a retelling of that. Mark Hamill looks like he's having a ton of fun, just like getting women and doing drugs and stuff. But so fun for him. But I thought it was pretty cringy. And then the only other one was like, so when I do these triple features, I always need to find like a filler movie. I usually have like one or two that I really want to see, and I'm like, okay, there's there's 2 hours I got to kill in between. Let's just throw in another one. The Wrath of Becky is what I did, and I never heard of that. It's a sequel to Becky from like 2018, which I also never heard of. And it's just similar to like.
But you watched the sequel without seeing the prequel.
Yeah, I'm just built different, dude. And to be fair, it's one of those sequels that like the first 10 minutes are just like a retelling of everything that happened in the first.
Seth, that's just the grind of triple features.
That's just the grind. You wouldn't
understand.
I've done one double feature in the past year, and that was Puss in Boots and The Whale, and that's all I'm used to right now.
My one was Scream 6 and 65.
Wow. But no, The Wrath of Becky was just a teenage girl killing a bunch of neo-Nazis, and it's just one of those like hyper-violent action movies,
like
similar
Sisu kind of thing.
Right, exactly. But it's more like comedic in tone. But weird cast. So, do you guys know Sean William Scott? He's like, I think he's Stifler, like Stifler. Right? Yeah, he's like the head neo-Nazi. So it's a very interesting, like, and he's like a menacing. He honestly kind of looks like jacked. He has like a shaved head, like a beard. He looks pretty menacing in this. Whereas like I've only ever seen him in not just comedies, but like the most ridiculous of comedies. And now he's like
a few decent films. Actually.
Yeah, I think I probably missed out on those because he played a very good, very convincing neo-Nazi. So I don't know, take that for what you will.
He played a serial killer a few years ago. He was quite dark and mysterious in that. So
then maybe that's just what his career's kind of gone to. He's moved away from comedies. He's gotten older and he's more thrillers. But yeah, I think those are all I've seen for new releases. But ran the gambit. Nothing crazy. Nothing anyone needs to be rushing to go see.
Perfect. We'll move over to first, go to Cam. Obviously, the Ted Lasso finale was this week, and the reviews have been really great, apart from the green screen scene, which I'll obviously let Cam go over what I saw all over Twitter.
So I don't think you're talking about the scene I'm talking about. I think you're talking about the wedding scene.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was bad, but I think that was less egregious than... There's at one point, so it's like they're obviously not in a soccer stadium, right? So there's one point where they come out, they're doing like the I don't know, the whole team's lined up. I think it's just announcing the starting lineup, and they're all just standing there, and it's like truly the worst green screen I've ever seen, I think, in my opinion.
Wow, I didn't see this one.
The finale as a whole, I think it was like a perfect ending for this show. It was not by any means a perfect episode of TV, but they, there's a lot of callbacks. But I think in this show it's okay because like that's what the show is. It's low hanging fruit to make you happy, and it makes me happy every time. I think the first 2 seasons were like genuinely really well written and genuinely really good episodes of TV. This season kind of was just like low hanging fruit to make you smile, which I was okay with because I needed that every once in a while. My wife didn't love it. I think she liked it, but like they didn't really resolve a couple things the way we wanted them to. We kind of just wanted the easy way out, and they didn't always take that. But I do think the majority of people like it, especially if you're a fan of the show.
I've seen really good reviews for the finale, to be fair.
Yeah, I think if you're, I do think it was a good episode, probably the best of the season in my opinion. But just really emotional, made me cry. Like my favorite piece of media in the last 3 years, other than now Spiderverse. I don't really have a whole lot to say, especially I know Tyler's going to watch it eventually, so I don't want to spoil it, or maybe George will watch it eventually as well, because I know he's seen the first 2 seasons. We'll see. But I did really enjoy it. It made me cry. It made me smile. So basically did everything I wanted from it in the finale.
One interesting thing I saw was Ricardo posted so shout out Ricardo, big TV guy, posted a TikTok story of him basically like crying and him being like, man, like Ted Lasso, I think the finale was even better than Succession and even better than Barry. And he's like a huge Succession and Barry guy. Yeah. So I think, like Cam was saying, I think the Ted Lasso finale, I think, was just able to pull on heartstrings enough to make people really feel emotions. But yeah, I was like surprised to see Ricardo say that, because I know the season 3 reception hasn't been the greatest, but he was like bawling and posting public content while bawling. So shout out to him for that. But yeah, he gave it like 3 thumbs ups.
A perfect transition, into the Succession finale, which I got big FOMO over, and I've not even seen one episode of this shit because it was all over Twitter. George, I think you did catch up, didn't you?
Yeah, I caught it. Well, I didn't catch up by the finale. I was in the same boat. I was getting FOMO like crazy. People were talking about like episodes 1, 2, and 3 of this season, and then the reviews were obviously just glowing. So I was like, you know what? Let me catch up as fast as possible. So like 2.5 weeks before the finale, I started to catch up, and I was like mid-season 2. So I absolutely powered through.
I didn't even know you'd seen it, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd seen it a long time ago. I don't know why I ever stopped, because I did enjoy the show. But the weekend of the finale, I went home, like home on Long Island. And we were out on the boat all day. Saturday night I went out with my sisters in Victoria. Sunday I came back to the city, and I had just like some errands to run around the apartment and just some things I had to wrap up before the work week. So like timing wise, like if I had a free weekend, I could have easily caught up by the finale, but I just couldn't. So I ended up watching the finale Monday night. I love the finale. I really did. I tweeted almost immediately. What a amazing conclusion to one of the greatest shows ever. Sophie asked me yesterday or 2 days ago where I rank Succession, and for me right now it falls in like I can't put it above like Breaking Bad or Thrones or Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it sits in like the 4 to 6 range for me, which is Succession, Peaky Blinders, and Lost. And like I'd even throw like Black Mirror and Love, Death, and Robots in there. Like they're all interchangeable. It just kind of depends on the day. But it was a really satisfying conclusion. I think it did a very good job to subvert my expectations, because going into the episode, and I'll keep this spoiler free, going into the episode, I thought one thing was going to happen. Like I really don't want to spoil anything, but the episode just did a good job at subverting my expectations on like who was going to come out on top, who was going to get absolutely dogged. So in that sense, I think it was a very compelling and engaging final episode. I don't think it was one of the best episodes of the season, maybe just like Cam said with the Ted Lasso finale, but it was just very satisfying. Like I left that episode just feeling complete, but also, feeling empty because, you lose one of the best shows ever. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm really trying to like say things without getting spoilery, just because I know, I don't know about you, Tyler, but I've gotten so many DMs over the last like 2-3 weeks of people like powering through and like trying to finish Succession now that everyone's like talking about it. So I don't want to spoil a thing, but I really did love that finale. I think it wraps up one of the greatest shows ever very nicely.
Yeah, I agree. And I see one bit of news that Seth has in here, so I'll just touch on it real quick since it's related to Succession. Succession is a funny show because it is such like a chronically online show to where the viewership is just not great, like compared to like Last of Us, compared to any TV show on Netflix or any cable TV show. Like 2.9 million views is a high for the series, and that was the finale. And that's like so not crazy numbers for a TV show. Like Last of Us, the lowest episode was like 4 million. And then every Netflix show,
think
like
The Last of Us is different though, because that has a direct, incredibly big fan base already through the game.
But I mean, like Stranger Things is all like 25 million, and like The Good Doctor on TV is like 10 million every episode. Like every TV
episode. Means like every show and no one's seen.
Yeah, so like Succession is just like everyone talks about it online. Not a lot of people actually watch it, but it's incredible. It's my number 3 show right now of all time. I'm probably gonna rewatch it eventually, and it might be able to eclipse Breaking Bad to become my number 2. But I just love it. I love all the characters. Not gonna spoil anything. I feel like to talk about Succession properly, we need a full like real quick. But the guy who I love the most, he's the winner. So I guess there's a spoiler because it's not the woman. But if you've seen any Succession, there's only one woman, and she was you knew from the beginning she was never going to be the one. So that spoils it because the one woman is not, because I said the guy. But again, you would know from like episode 1 that it was never going to happen. Yeah, I loved everything about it. Like, I just love that show so much. That whole final season, I was the same as George. I had to catch up. I had such FOMO because every week everyone was talking about it. Every Sunday night it was like going crazy. And I missed out.
I feel like I had to stay off Twitter every fucking Sunday.
Oh, I muted like 60 words because I was messaging Sophie because she was like telling me like you need to catch up the same way with you, and like I was like, Sophie, please just tell me like, because like obviously like I knew the words from like season 3 and 2 I should mute, but I'm assuming there's new characters and new plot lines in season 4. Like what things do I need to mute on Twitter? So I just like muted like 60 words. So yeah, I didn't catch up until the finale, so I wasn't able to be online for all the other episodes, which I missed because that was just so fun, like how engaged everyone was with that show online. But yeah, incredible. One of my favorite shows of all time. So well acted. I love Matthew McFadden so much. I love all Jeremy Strong, Kieran Culkin, Sarah Snook, just all such great actors. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Kieran Culkin needs that Emmy, man.
Mm-hmm.
He needs that Emmy.
It's so funny, like I saw him giving a speech like on TikTok the other day for like one of the previous awards he won for something, and like he just literally is Roman in real life. He has the same talking pattern, same everything. Whereas like Jeremy Strong, I feel like a totally different person in real life. And
speaking of like Emmy love, that last episode, I feel like every main character had their Emmy moment.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So
it was what an episode again. Yeah, we need if we ever want to, and I'd be down to Tyler to do a whole reel
Yeah.
just talking about the final season.
For sure. But yeah.
I'm getting FOMO. I do want to watch it, to be fair. We'll move over to trailers, but first of all, if you are enjoying this episode so far, make sure you hit the like button on YouTube. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, drop us a rating on there. We are doing really well on Spotify. We do want to get our numbers up a little bit on Apple, and it really, really does help us out. Trailers. Cameron, I know you're not very well, but would you like to do your trailer theme anyway?
You just killed Cam with that question.
I'm going to say that he's not there.
Yeah, no, he's got. You know what? I'll fill in today. I'll fill in.
Go on then.
I hate this. Hey, it's trailer time.
That sounded exactly like Cam, so that's fine.
Thank you.
First trailer we got
like
this
son.
week. Yeah. First trailer we got this week was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem trailer. George, did you see this?
I swear I'm the only one in the world excited for this movie.
I am excited for this. The animation looks amazing.
Bro, I feel like all the discourse I've seen on this movie has been so shitty over the last couple of weeks. Yeah, like that. I've seen very little positivity coming from this trailer. And it's like, people are like, oh, it's cringe. It's corny. Like, yeah, it's a movie about talking fucking turtles.
Yeah.
Like, I think I think the animation looks good. I mean, I'm not like the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lore guy, but
no, I'm not. I don't know much about it, but
I don't know. It looks like fun and with great animation. Like, I'm excited. I'm not
some cool voice actors as well.
Yeah, like I'm not beaming about it, but like I think it looks cool and I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, same as me. That trailer we got was for The Idol, which is obviously the is it a show or a film that premiered at Cannes?
It's a
show.
Show, I believe. Yeah,
the one with obviously Lily Rose Depp and The Weeknd, and people have not been reacting to this very well.
I don't think anyone is watching this show.
I might try it because I feel like oftentimes when it comes to things that are so polarizing, I quite like to. I get more interested in watching them. But I think with this, obviously this was written by the same guy who wrote Euphoria, who's got a lot of flack for this because obviously what Lily Rose Depp went through on set and what she had to do and stuff like that, and what it involves. But who knows, man? Like, the thing is, I can't trust Rotten Tomatoes anyway, so who knows?
Yeah.
We did get a trailer for Black Mirror season 6. Now, because I am like, I'm in my Black Mirror era right now, which I'll go over in a second. It looks good, man. But then again, I don't know because wasn't season 5 and it got to season 5? Isn't season 5 meant to be pretty bad?
Yeah, season 5 was, what was it, 3 or 4 episodes maybe?
3, I think it was. Was it the Miley Cyrus one? The one where she was like...
Yeah, either way, those are like my 3 lowest rated Black Mirror episodes, probably. They're like... And I know you hated the Waldo moment. I think you'll dislike these episodes a little more.
The Waldo moment was weird. It was a good concept, but he was too annoying.
Yeah, he was so annoying, and it was just like in your face the entire episode. But no, it's one bad season of television is not going to stop me from being very excited for season 6. Like, Black Mirror is still probably in my top 10 shows of all time, maybe top 15. And I love the concept. I love the unique qualities every single episode kind of gives you. So I'm definitely excited for season 6.
And then obviously the cast is pretty good, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
I've seen. Is it 6 episodes or 5, this one?
This is 6. Yeah, it's 6 now.
I think so. And the final trailer we got, George, you won't have seen this, is Hidden Strike. It's a new action film with Jackie Chan and John Cena. Yeah, I know.
What?
I know.
What is this?
Have you not seen the trailer? The trailer actually doesn't look that bad. It's directed by the same guy who directed Need for Speed, if you ever watched that.
Oh, this poster looks horrendous.
Yeah, it's that poster looks true.
That's such a brutal look. Oh,
it really
no.
Is. It really is.
What
it really,
is
really
this?
Is.
This looks terrible. Oh, yeah, he did Need for Speed. Oh, he did 6 Below. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think I can imagine this will probably be like a money laundering scheme or something.
This movie's going to open to like a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I didn't even know he's doing the Expendables 4. I didn't even know they were still making those films. This is basically the George and Seth podcast now, by the way. So if you are a listener, I
Yeah,
hope you like our
welcome.
voices.
Welcome to George and Seth.
I know. We'll move on to news. This will interest you, George. To be fair,
I saw this first bit of news.
yeah. So Martin Scorsese met with the Pope recently. I think it was last week, a few days ago. And obviously, he's confirmed he'll make another film about Jesus. Obviously, the last one. Have you seen The Last Temptation of Christ, where Willem Dafoe plays Jesus?
Yeah.
So I liked that film a lot, but it did at the time specifically get quite a lot of controversy. So I believe he went to see the Pope this time to kind of angle it all out and stuff like that, and make sure what they wanted to go into in terms of the portrayal. But if you didn't know already, I mean, well, I'm assuming you did, but the listeners, Martin Scorsese was a practicing priest, I believe, or on his way to being before he directing films. He was a devout Catholic. So this, I think, with his religious project, especially when we look at Silence, look at Last Temptation of Christ, he did another one that I haven't seen. This is for me very, very exciting news and something that everyone should be excited about, especially if you are a fan of his films. You liked Silence, didn't you?
Yeah, I love Silence. I think that's one of Scorsese's more underrated and underappreciated films. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
It is weird how little people have seen it in comparison to like the other one, the Irishman, for example.
Never got a wide release, and
it didn't do well, did it? In terms of
box office numbers were not great. But no, you're absolutely right in terms of like Martin Scorsese taking care of like anything religion related. I also think this is like such a genius bit of marketing. Yeah. Like, I don't know if like that news was meant to be like shared, but if it was, I think that's fucking genius, because it's like, okay, like he's going
above and beyond.
He's going to the top of like who he should be talking to when wanting to create a movie right now. He's making a movie about Jesus. Who better to go to than the number one like religious icon in the world?
Yeah, I think I would assume it's because of the backlash he got for The Last Temptation of Christ, which of course is everything's different times now. So it might make a difference now, and I think it would be very different now in terms of the way that people would perceive it, especially people of that religion. But at the same time, the man's going above and beyond, and I think that shows a lot of
this is literally like, though this news broke, and like the perfect meme for it is let him cook. Like that was the first thing that I like thought of. I was like, okay, he's doing something. Like he's going to the absolute top to get the information he needs to make this as good a Jesus movie as ever.
Yeah. Tyler, have you seen Last Temptation of Christ or Silence? Scorsese's
have not seen either. I especially want to get around to Silence, but both of them.
Silence was we was just me and George speaking about that. Like Silence didn't really get a wide release. I only watched it like 2 months ago, last month, whatever. It's now my third Scorsese ever, which says a lot. And I think that I was just saying to George, I'm sure you know this as well, but prior to being a filmmaker, Scorsese was a practicing priest. He was a practicing, Catholic church. He was in the Catholic church. He was a practicing priest, and that's why he went on to make these religious projects. I think with him meeting the Pope, it's a recipe for success. Well, maybe not monetary success, but film success as we know it from Scorsese anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on though, Fast X has passed 500 million worldwide. Is this a lot for Fast and Furious? I don't really know. I know they make money, but
after 1 week.
Two
Fast
weeks.
and Furious, they make money, don't they?
Yeah, I think two of them have crossed the billion mark. It's been 2 weeks for Fast X.
Okay,
but still, no, I think it's doing well. I think the opening weekend was a little under expectations, but I think its long tail is doing pretty well. But I don't know if you have this in the rundown, but I think this would be a good time to talk about, like, do you guys see the news about Vin Diesel, like, saying he's blaming the bad reviews on, he says the people are rating the movie bad because Jason Momoa was overacting as the villain, and he's like mad at Jason Momoa. Did you guys see that?
Jason Momoa is the only.
He's the best part of the movie.
He was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, like literally, Vin Diesel's like, the critics are rating this movie like that's like the headline. It's like he's pissed off at Jason Momoa because the critics are rating the movie badly because he was overacting. I'm like, dude, he was the best thing of your movie, man. Best thing.
Vin Diesel was fucking shit. He was like, I don't understand that at all, because it's like he was the one who looked like he was having the most fun, and he was the best to watch. Jason Momoa. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Vin Diesel's just mad that someone that's not in his family is getting the praise.
That's literally it. Moving on, story for Extraction 3 already being developed. Cool. We'll wait until the second one comes out. Succession finale, obviously, we already spoke about during a full 2.9 million viewers. Mason Thames, which I believe was the kid in the black phone, the main guy in that, who was great. when we spoke about that film before, we've always spoke about the child performances being really, really good, which is a rarity, let's be honest. And Nico Parker cast as Hiccup and Astrid in live-action How to Train Your Dragon film, which I'm here nor there, and I don't know what it's going to be like, but good castings to start off. A female-led Australian remake of The Office is in the works, so now there's going to be 3 Office shows. Interesting. The Super Mario Bros. Movie. Say again.
3?
Yeah.
The UK. The original.
Oh.
The original, bro. Come on.
Oh, yeah, my fault.
Super Mario Bros. Movie has now become the 2nd highest grossing animated film of all time, which is ridiculous. What is the first?
Well, Frozen 2, but the one thing I want to say is they don't count the Lion King remake as animation, but it's not, like, it's just weird because the Lion King has made more money than Frozen 2 and Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
But like,
how much did the Lion King make?
Like 1.8 billion or something crazy.
Yeah.
I thought Frozen made like around
No,
that.
but like I don't. Why isn't it considered animation? I'm just so confused how like people are just like, oh, that's not an animated movie because it's like live action. But like,
it's a live action remake, so I guess they tried. I don't know, man.
I haven't seen the remake. Did they use real lions and real animals in it?
No, I don't think so.
So like, how is it not animated?
Wouldn't that be the same thing as like Avatar: The Way of Water being an animated movie?
That's very fair. That's fair
actually
point.
a really, really good argument, George.
Yeah, like it's.
Yeah.
I don't know how to further explain that, but that's where my head went.
Okay.
Yeah, it's visual
Point
effects.
proven.
Rather.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Avatar: The Way of Water was nominated for Best Animated
Best
Feature
animated
last
feature.
year?
I mean, to be fair, it's understandable anyway. But yeah, that's crazy. I think Super Mario Bros. We knew, and there's going to be so much to come from this universe now in terms of films, given how successful it's been. Terrifier 3 will be released in late 2024. I did not like the first one. I did not like the second one. George, did you like either?
I did not like the first one. I did not see the second one. I saw one clip of the second one on Twitter, and that's where I
was it the bedroom clip?
It was the clip where he like removes her like scalp or something.
There is things to enjoy about the second. However,
I saw that.
It's 2 hours 20 minutes long. It's crazy, but
it's not
I know
even
what
the runtime. It's not even the runtime, and like
it is.
I think I can tolerate horror movies. Like it's not like I watch fucked up shit rather often, and I get enjoyment out of them. But this is torture porn to the max.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and like I saw that one clip on Twitter when the movie came out, and I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to see this movie.
I'd like you to watch the second one because I think you'll have a better time with it than the first anyway, because there is some stupid shit in there.
Yeah.
Thomas Kail is set to direct the live-action Moana film, which I think he directed. He's done a lot of plays. I think he did the Hamilton, which I'm sure you. And I think you guys like Hamilton, don't you? The one that came out a few years ago.
Yeah,
I think
I love Hamilton. Cam, it's 5-star for me too. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. George, this is one for you. John Carpenter says a direct sequel to The Thing may be happening. Now, I said this on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'll watch this shit, but if he's not the one behind the camera, then I'll still watch it. I'm nowhere near as interested. I think it's ridiculous, to be honest.
That's my thoughts exactly. I really don't mind the 2013 remake or whatever.
I still haven't seen that.
I don't think it does anything, or I think 2013 was a prequel, actually. Sorry. It doesn't do anything to like recapture like the lore of the first. It basically just kind of like recycles old material, but kind of makes it feel newer, if that makes sense. Like I'm basically getting at, it's not a shitty movie at all. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and I actually enjoyed it. But if we're talking about like a direct sequel to The Thing,
yeah,
if it's not John Carpenter, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm still gonna watch it, but my expectations are going to be significantly lower.
Yeah, and especially handling how the Thing ended is arguably one of the best endings and one of the most thought-provoking endings of all time. The conversation of The Thing endings has been going on for so long, and I think the only person that could handle that in the correct way would be John Carpenter himself.
Yeah.
I think this would be interesting, though. I'll definitely watch it either way if it does happen. Obviously, we got this news the other day. A live-action Miles Morales film is in the works. I've seen love for this. I've seen not so much. I'm personally all for this. I think it's understandable. I think how successful the films have done. It only makes sense in my eyes. Any thoughts on this at all?
It's just something some people have been pushing for ages.
A long time.
Like I know now. I don't know what the connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be with this live action Marvel.
Do you think there would be one, or
I don't think so. But I know ever since No Way Home ended, everyone was pushing like, okay, this is the perfect time to introduce a Miles Morales. Like, give us like a college Peter Parker. Maybe he's going to retire from Spider-Man. Maybe he gets killed off. Perfect opportunity to introduce Miles Morales. And I'm all for that. I don't think this is going to have any connections to the MCU, unfortunately. So
is that unfortunate though? Because like,
yeah, maybe it's not unfortunate, but it's just something I would like to see. But either way, I think we'll eventually get Miles Morales in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this is also like, I want to reserve judgment on this news until after Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like, I want to see where Miles' story ends.
also, just to say, the guy who voices Miles Morales wants to play him. He's like 30. Like,
Yeah, that's not happening. He's
Miles
also
Morales is like a 15-year-old.
Bro, I've
Yeah,
seen
well-
so many interview clips of him rizzing up Haley
Oh,
Steinfeld.
I was gonna say, dude,
So
he's the king of
awkward.
shooting your shot with Haley Steinfeld with Marvel
Dude,
Studios, but saying like, "Hey,
it's
I want
like
to play."
Face
Like,
that she makes after what he
It's
says.
like
It's
getting
so bad.
it's getting uncomfortable at this point.
you can tell they probably don't like working together at all. Like for
No,
her,
I think he loves.
No,
working
yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think she. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if she's like in an interview says like, "I love the Spider-Verse movies. Didn't love playing Spider-Gwen. I didn't love my time on
is it that he
set."
says to her now? It's
Well, he's like,
Same
"It's so
thing, but-
easy being in love with Spider-Gwen when I'm like in the recording booth staring directly at Haley
yeah,
Steinfeld."
She just does that
That's
like
just
awkward
so
smile.
It's also uncomfortable because you have a whole other movie to like record together. Like,
It's weird to make someone that when they're recording to make someone like uncomfortable say something like that over again. He's done it a few times.
and
It's
also all
bizarre.
I'm thinking now is like this dude in the studio just staring at Haley the entire time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Actually,
she's probably. And people have been theorizing this for the live-action Miles Morales movie, which I think is a 0% chance this happens. But if it does, I'll just say caveat: I would hate it if Beyond the Spider-Verse ends with him going into like a live-action universe.
Oh
and
yeah, I don't think they do.
They
though.
wouldn't. No, there's 0% chance that happens. But I'm just gonna say, since I've seen so many people say that on Twitter, I'll just say like I would hate that if they did it. But I mean, so like the Sonyverse, they're building up the Sinister Six. They still don't have Spider-Man for the Sonyverse. Why not make him Miles Morales?
Yeah,
I'm
Makes
saying,
sense.
man, that's what I'm saying.
A new like Fast and Furious film focused on Dwayne Johnson's Hobbs is in the works. Who cares? Oppenheimer is rated R, and this backs up my point that Barbie will easily.
100%. Now it's a given.
outsell.
Now it's for sure.
Now-
No, I think it was a given all the time.
No.
Barbie, George, is
No.
such a big IP. A 3-hour,
Yeah, but
like
you,
a
no, no,
3-hour epic, 3-hour film. I
A
know it's. I
three-
know it's Nolan. I know
a
it's Nolan.
three-
I
no,
know
no,
it's
no.
Nolan.
It's a 2.5-hour Barbie film rated PG-13. No parent was
but it's-
taking their children to see this movie.
But it's still got that. No, but I think
And-
it goes down
And no
to
parent
like.
was taking their children to see Oppenheimer, but I'm taking Greta Gerwig. I mean, I'm taking Christopher Nolan over Greta Gerwig any day.
Well, no, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you on the kids thing. I just think it's when it comes to the IP of Barbie. Kids have been like kids who've grown up with Barbies. Barbie IP is so big to the point where
No,
people
it's-
in their 40s now will go and see this film because
I think it's
Barbie.
comparable to Super Mario Bros, where it's like there's such a wide range of, new Super Mario / Barbie lovers, but you're
Yeah.
also going to get the existing. But I mean, listen, I'm not so confident. I'm not like sitting here saying like, oh, if it wasn't rated R, it would have easily blown Barbie out of the water. But I don't think it's going to get the amount of like
How did
6 to like 16-year-olds coming.
How
to
did,
see this
like,
movie.
Dunkirk do? Because I know Tenet was a bit of a weird one because that was in COVID
Yeah,
times.
Tenet was Dunkirk. I have no idea actually.
Because that's like
Dunkirk made 527 million.
okay. So I imagine that it'll do well.
And that's a war film,
Yeah,
which
I
have,
think
Oppenheimer
Oppenheimer-
historically done poor at the box office.
Yeah, I think Oppenheimer will do. I don't know, 800 million, something like
I mean,
that. I think it'll do well.
now that Oppenheimer's rated R, I'm taking Barbie. I think Barbie's going to
Yeah.
now blow it out of the water. But before the R rating, I was still Team Oppenheimer.
I think it could be closer than people think, purely because Oppenheimer will have the Avatar wave water, or both Avatar effects of ticket prices, because those 70mm showings are selling out, and those are like $25 tickets.
Yeah.
And on top of
I
that, they have
can't
normal
fucking see
IMAX
it.
showing. Barbie's not getting an IMAX, so just every ticket bought for Oppenheimer is like 1.5x the amount of box office money every ticket of Barbie will be. So Barbie's going to outsell it. Oppenheimer costs more. So I think it'll be a little closer than people think just because of ticket prices. Yeah, Barbie will
The
win.
one
now,
thing
for
I
sure.
would say with most people who just watch films casually won't care about watching a 70mm print of of Oppenheimer. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, perfect example. Last night I was at a theater going to see Past Lives, and there was a Dolby screening of Across the Spiderverse, not an IMAX screening. So in my head, I'm like, yeah, the casual moviegoer, I don't think sees a difference between Dolby and IMAX. The same way I don't think a casual moviegoer sees a difference between 35 and 70.
Yeah, and they won't go out of their way to
yeah,
go
like
pay
yeah,
more to it.
like if someone like when the Oppenheimer tickets dropped, I was getting IMAX, no question. But like if someone who isn't as into film as like we are opens the app and sees,
Let's go to the local one.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheaper.
They're like, let's just go see it in laser or some shit or some bullshit like that.
Is Cam officially signing off? For
Cam.
the people listening, Cam is no longer here. But one thing I want to ask you both for Seth with Anna and George with Victoria. Right, so like this is the only caveat I have about Barbie is the people like, and why I say I think it's a very online movie is like Riley thinks it looks dumb. Like she has no interest in seeing it. She's like, I just look like, and a lot of people that like aren't big movie buffs, like I know everyone here jokes like, oh, Ryan Gosling or whatever. Like a lot of people like in my casual life are all like, yeah, Ryan Gosling looks weird in that movie. Like that movie just doesn't appeal to me at all. Like at least my close friends and Riley. So that's why I'm like, the one caveat I'm holding out on is like, I don't know anyone in like my non-movie life, like non-movie sphere, that is gonna see Barbie. Like they're all like,
Anna's very excited for Barbie.
Has she seen the other Greta Gerwig, or is it just purely Barbie?
She loved Little Women. I don't think
okay,
she's
so I don't think
Lady
Riley's
Bird,
seen any Greta Gerwig. So
yeah, I think Anna's very excited for it. But only,
I
again,
haven't seen like casual discourse on Barbie. Obviously, film Twitter is just loaded with Barbie Oppenheimer double feature, Barbie Oppenheimer. But like, I don't think a casual moviegoer is even remotely comparing Barbie and Oppenheimer together. And I also don't think Greta
it's a
Gerwig
weird comparison anyway. It's bizarre.
And Greta Gerwig is not a household name. Like she's an incredible filmmaker. She's made Lady Bird, which is a 5 out of 5, and Little Women, which is a 4.5 out of 5 for me. But like those aren't mainstream films.
No, I agree. I think that Greta Gerwig she doesn't have the longevity yet to be a household name, especially in the film world. She's only done one co-collaborated film and then 2 feature films herself, so she's not had the longevity that Nolan has had to have that namesake. I think even the general movie watcher will know who. Nolan's like a director that most people will watch when they first watch films. He's kind of the first entry level, I think. Not in a bad way. I just think he's a name. Like when I start watching films, I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I think it's like when you start your film journey, you're just automatically a film bro, and then you progress.
Yeah, and which again is not a bad thing. I just think and I still do now because I like Nolan a lot now, and I think most people do. Well, some people don't. But I think when I started watching films, it was the first films I heard about for people were the Inceptions.
Yeah.
Because they're so popular. So I think that Nolan has that pull. I just think what's holding Oppenheimer back is how long it is, because that does impact films, especially in the box office. We saw that with Babylon was a weird one because the marketing was a bit shit. But I think the length and also the story for most casual moviegoers, I don't think is as enticing as I don't know, man, Interstellar or a Inception. You know what I mean? But I might be wrong.
Now I think would be a good time to touch on it too. So Tom Cruise is upset that, and he's getting all the studios to try and get Oppenheimer to be pulled from IMAX screens. Where like Tom Cruise is a box office machine. Christopher Nolan's also a box office machine, but Christopher Nolan is like the poster boy for IMAX. He's like the guy who uses the IMAX cameras, the latest and greatest. So IMAX isn't gonna throw the guy who's like the biggest proponent of IMAX in the world for movies. They're not going to be like, we're not going to play your stuff on IMAX. Like they're going to give him the golden treatment for any IMAX. Whereas like,
can you imagine if Tom Cruise was the main guy in a Nolan film? That would be crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But yeah,
Tom Cruise is probably the biggest actor draw there is.
For sure.
Maybe Tom Hanks as well right now. But
yeah, I'd agree.
He's crazy how much pull that guy has.
And I would love to see Dead Reckoning Part 2 on an IMAX screen. But I'm just saying, like, to think that Oppenheimer is going to be
Nolan
moving because of it, no.
Promotes IMAX. He promotes screen on film. Yeah.
He is IMAX.
Yeah, it makes sense. We'll move on to nerd news. We don't have much nerd news this week. I swear we've not had that much nerd news for a while. We used to be covering so much of it.
Because there was the there was like literally those two expos within a week of
The
each
Star
other.
Wars celebration we had.
Yeah,
then
and then the Disney thing, I think.
Yeah, the Disney, the
They
D23.
happened within like the same week, and we haven't had massive nerd news since then.
Yeah. Andy, is it Muschietti?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he says that they will not recast Ezra Miller for a potential sequel to The Flash because he said that they are just irreplaceable as playing The Flash, which kind of, I don't know if you guys, well, obviously, George, you've seen The Flash. How good were they? Were they amazing, or did you expect it to be recast or whatever?
I mean, yeah, I expected it to be recast, not because he's bad in the role, but just because of what's going on in his personal life. And again, I'm not praising the man, but I do think he's an incredible Flash. I really do. But this did come as a little bit of a surprise. The movie, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like the way the movie ended, like, I don't think it would have been weird to recast. It's not like, I don't know how to
like
explain
a big
it.
setup.
It's not like Across the Spider-Verse ending where you like expect
Exactly,
to be carried on.
There was nothing like absolutely ridiculous about the ending where I'm like, no, it has to be him in the next movie. It must be him. And like, I don't want to sit here and say that like I'm happy they're not recasting him because I don't think he deserves to have this, type of role in his pocket.
We should mention, otherwise people will be upset if you don't say they. I think he's non-binary.
Right. My fault. That's my fault. But yeah, like, I don't know. I hate praising them because I think they're really fucking good in this role. I really do. I think Ezra Miller is really good in this role. I've said it even since the Justice League. I think he was one of the shining lights of that shit piece of crap movie.
Wait, what? No, you're on about not Zack Snyder.
Right,
No, I'm talking about the OG, the Justice League.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that shitty movie. But yeah, it's one of those things where like a recast wouldn't have surprised me, but telling me they're not going to recast them also is not surprising me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, so like the movie world is interesting because directors are like the head honcho of the movie, but they're really not. Like when Andy Muschietti says they're not going to be recast, he really has like kind of zero say. Like director, especially in these comic book movie universes. Like if Jeff Loveness, like I know he got fired for other reasons from Avengers Kang Dynasty, but if he said, if Jeff Loveness said like we're not going to recast, and I know he's the writer, like recast Kang for Jonathan Majors, like it doesn't matter what they say.
What they say, they haven't got.
It's all what the production company's going to do. So I think this is just Andy Muschietti trying to like publicly support his person here, but he really has less than zero say on who's going to be cast as the Flash. It's going to be James Gunn, Peter Safran, and even them. It might not even be them, honestly. It might literally be like CEO of Warner Brothers, the CEO of like HBO Max's Discovery. Yeah, like whatever. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Rosa Salazar has cast in Captain America: New World Order. I'll be honest, I don't really know who this is. And also Pearson. I'm gonna guess with the Fode or Fode.
I would have said Fode as well.
Fode, yeah. Maybe in the running to play Superman in James Gunn's Superman Legacy. I don't know who this guy is, but this man's handsome, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I have no idea who he is, though.
I'm not gonna lie, I never saw like Man from Toronto or The Assault or any other weird movie he's been in, but
he looks like Superman, to be fair.
That's what I'm saying. Like he has the look. Like he honestly just looks like a slightly downgraded Henry Cavill.
Wow. I mean, to be fair, that even just slightly downgraded.
That'd be the greatest compliment I would. If anyone ever said that to,
that is still a very good compliment.
Yeah. We'll move on to obviously what we've been watching this week. Tyler, we'll start with you. What have you been watching this week? Everything.
So I watched 1001, which I've been meaning to watch. That was a Sundance film. I didn't get a chance to see it. Like won the big award at Sundance, and then it also got a theatrical release back in like April, maybe. Really, really good. Very, very easy to draw parallels to Moonlight because it does follow this family through 3 stages of his life. The kid in the movie, there's 3 different actors who plays him because it kind of goes through 3/3 of his life. So obviously when you have a movie set up like that, you can draw parallels to Moonlight that had 3 different people playing the main guy. But very, very good. It's my last week of work, so I was just trying to like chill out at night, have a little fun leisurely night. So I've been crossing off a lot of comedies like This Is the End, Dirty Grandpa, watched Step Brothers twice. And yeah, just kind of been chilling. I watched Jerry, so I know I don't know if he's listening, but shout out Owen. He's been praised
Is that
in
the
this
one with
movie.
Matt Damon and
Casey
or Ben
Affleck. Yeah, Casey.
Okay. Yeah.
They co-wrote the movie. It's by Gus Van Sant as the director. I quite enjoyed it. It's so Seth, I know you weren't here for the Real Quick a week or two ago, but
Yeah.
so Knight of Cups, very similar energy to that. So George, Cam, do not recommend Jerry to you two, because I gave Knight of Cups like a 2.5. I didn't hate it. I like this one more, but it's very much similar vibes where there's not really much going on. It's very experimental and very open-ended, but it was cool. Like, I enjoyed it. It was interesting. It's like, it's just crazy to me that, because this came out in 2002, Good Will Hunting was 1997, and because they both had a hand in writing this, just like they did with Good Will Hunting. It's just crazy that young into their career, like Matt Damon and the Affleck brothers, truly were some of the most talented young working individuals in the film industry. And obviously still today, all of them are doing incredible things, but they entered the industry with Good Will Hunting and like Jerry and like these creative screenplays at such a young age, like young 20s. That's just like, it's crazy, and like deservedly so. They've had a long tail to all their careers because they are so talented.
Both to watch Tree of Life, Terrence Malick's Tree of Life.
That's on my list for like this week, so I will watch it.
After Night of Cup, bro, you want me to watch that?
I hear it's not as experimental or crazy. I know Seth just cut out a bit, so I think he's about to be back in. But I hear that it's not as experimental and weird as Night of Cup. So, and I know it's Doug's favorite movie from Terrence Malick.
I was gonna say Doug and I don't really see eye to eye on film. So.
Yeah. And that's his favorite movie. I don't know if it's his favorite movie. I know it's his favorite Malick. I think it might be his favorite movie of all time.
Is his favorite.
Or something.
Oh.
What? Seth cutting out like crazy right now for you too.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
I think he's back. He's a little fuzzy, but I think you're back. But yeah, Seth, I'm for sure watching Tree of Life before next pod. I will have watched it, so I'll give you my thoughts then. But that's all I've been watching this week.
I'm excited.
Oh, I watched Broadcast News too, so shout out Sophie because she recommended it. I figured it was going to be a week of like the movies that people that I talk to, like in movie Twitter and stuff, that always keep telling me to watch stuff. I was like, you know what, Jerry, Broadcast News, I'll give them both a watch and cross those off.
Hell yeah.
Fair enough. George, what have you been watching?
Nothing, man.
A
lot of not literally nothing. A lot of Love, Death, and Robots episodes just because I got home one night.
I didn't realize how short they were.
Yeah, they're short. They're super short. It's such an easy watch, and they're just really fucking good. I watched Into the Spiderverse immediately after watching Across the Spiderverse, and then Past Lives. And It's Such a Beautiful Day. This week was tough on the watch side because like Monday we had off from work, so I was home and then came back and just had a lot of stuff around the apartment that I wanted to take care of for the work week. And then Wednesday I went out. Thursday I had Spider-Verse. Friday, yesterday I had Past Lives. So just not a big movie watching week. Which is why I killed a bunch of Love, Death, and Robots episodes.
So what have I been watching this week? I've been catching up with Black Mirror, of course, because I think it comes out, the 15th of June of this month. So I've got like 9 episodes left now, so I'm not far off at all. I did watch Be Right Back, unfortunately, George, which I did like, I just want to say, but it wasn't my favorite. It was a 3.5 for me. Unfortunately, Tyler as well.
I mean, I'm disappointed in that, but when you prefaced it by like saying you liked it, I was expecting lower than a 3.5. So I'll take 3.5.
I liked it. It wasn't like, it was still like, top whatever.
I hold Be Right Back as not only the best Black Mirror episode, but like one of the best episodes of television.
Really interesting.
It's a 5-star for me.
The first time I watched that episode, I bawled like a bitch.
Well, I cry at everything. It just didn't get me.
I don't know.
I did watch my favorite Black Mirror episode though, which was White Christmas.
Yeah,
I was like a
so
4.5. Dude, really enjoyed that.
Can you imagine if you had to live your life not being able to
see it?
Dude, I would off it
straight away. That'd be crazy.
Immediately, I'd be on the roof of my building day one.
Yeah. I watched The Blob, which wasn't great. Under the Silver Lake, which is the A24 kind of dark comedy with Andrew Garfield. Really interesting. George, I think this would be one for you. It's very, very interesting. Like a journey, comedy-fueled look at conspiracies and uncertainties. Really interesting. Andrew Garfield is just fucking amazing. I love him so much. Yeah, I've been going into more of Shinya Takamoto's filmography, George. He's the guy who directed Kotoko, which I know that you enjoyed. I've been going really into his films at the moment, and George, all of his films are like that. It's crazy.
I did like the
Um,
Toko chunk.
Yeah, it was really good. And then I also watched Archangel Black Mirror, which I didn't really like. They cast like a fucking 25-year-old as a girl who's like meant to be like 15. It was really weird. And also, I don't think that was the concept was there, but I don't think it was done well at all. What Christopher just said, Hang the DJ, which I liked a bit.
Okay. So what do you rate it?
3.5.
Okay, I think I was at a 3 on it, but that's the one on my Black Mirror ranking that by far the one that the comments the most were like, Hang the DJ is easily the best episode. And like that was like 1,000 likes on that comment. Like everyone was like, Hang the DJ too low. Like this is incredible. And I think I get why people love it so much because it's like the most like optimistic and hopeful of all the Black Mirrors as opposed to like dark and grim. But I don't know.
I like
people
dark
love
and
it.
grim.
Yeah, same. So I think that's why we like it.
And then I watched Playtest, which I think is like in my top 5 so far.
Dude, I love that one. And if you Google,
surprised you like that one. I really am.
What, me or Tyler?
No,
Seth.
Tyler.
Oh,
Yeah,
me? Really?
Yeah. It's a horror kind of thing.
Yeah, that's like. I mean, it's not like horror, but like that definitely dives.
I mean, it's definitely the scariest episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, no. Definitely.
No, I disagree. I think White Bear was creepier than that. Was it White Bear?
White Bears.
Yeah, that's a different flavor though, of like horror, I guess.
So.
But yeah, like if you look online, like of like whatever the normal websites are, like Vice or any of those other sites that like rank stuff all the time. If you look at just like their editors ranking of all Black Mirror episodes, like Playtest is like always like bottom 3 episodes for like every ranking online. But for me, I don't know. I think it's just I'm a horror noob, so like good, like stuff that excites me kind of like gets, maybe I'll rate a little higher than I should. I think there's maybe like 1 or 2 plot twists too many in Playtest, but I love that one, man. I freaking love it.
Yeah, and the final thing I watched Insidious rewatch. I made Alex watch it, which was fun. It was a great experience.
How did he do?
Not great. And then final thing I watched was Men Against Fire, which is another Black Mirror episode.
Mm-hmm.
I actually rated it higher than you guys, but not by much. It was like I rated it a 3 when it was, I think you guys rated 2.5. It wasn't great. It was very much a mediocre Black Mirror episode, but I definitely liked it a little bit more than I didn't. Oh, and I also watched the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is like a found footage horror that's meant to be really disturbing. Really wasn't that disturbing. It was quite disappointing. And then obviously It's Such a Beautiful Day, which we'll go over. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Are you all covered on yours? Also, I missed out a little bit.
Nah, you're good.
We're all good. I think we're ready for the draft.
Cool. So, as I spoke about earlier, please make sure to check out the Patreon, check out the merch. We have so much available. We've been getting so much support, so many stories, people posting their stuff on their Instagrams, which is just really great to see. And it's been quite overwhelming, and we're all really, really happy with the support, and we thank you very, very much for it. The draft this week is obviously just going to be me, George, and Tyler, because Cam is probably like, I don't know, in the nicest way possible, dead somewhere at this point. But the draft this week is going to be 5 best animated characters. I didn't clarify this with you guys, but it can be from films and shows. It doesn't directly have to be from one or the other. So just animated characters ever. And the criteria is just best. Like it's not funny. It's not anything like lovable, whatever it might be. It's just best characters. The order today is going to be George first, myself second, and Tyler third. As usual, it will be a snake draft. George, if you want to hit us with our first pick, I'm really interested to see how people, where people are going to go with this. I think it's the main thing here.
Yeah, this is the one draft. I'm upset Cam's not here. Because I'm curious where everyone's going to go with the.
Same.
I'm happy with the first pick because I don't think there's an obvious first pick at all. But I do think there's an argument to be made for who I'm about to take. And maybe it's recency bias, but I am going to take Miles Morales.
Yeah, that's the winning pick. That's the winner.
You've won the draft.
That's the winner.
Spiderverse thing, man. That's what happens. There's so many options for this where it's like, I don't know. For me, there's not really like an obvious one. The first one that came to mind as a character is not my favorite Pixar film, but the first character was Wall-E. So I'm going to go with Wall-E.
Yeah. Damn. He was on my list.
Yeah. Tyler.
There's a lot here. I didn't prep for this draft a ton, so I don't know if I want to go for my favorite or like what I think is the most iconic, but I'm going to start to try, because I love this character, and also try and pull a little bit of votes away from Miles Morales, even though it's impossible. I'm going to go Remy from Ratatouille.
Yeah.
There you go with the UK votes.
Still, Miles Morales got crazy pull.
UK-based Pixar film. I don't really understand it.
It's very odd.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why people love it so much in the UK, but I mean, it is a great movie. But I feel like it's like extra received well over there. Okay, now it's my pick because we don't have Cameron. You know what? I'm gonna throw one back to like my childhood, which doesn't narrow it down because I feel like now you think there's probably 20 different things in your mind of what I'm about to say. But Stewie Griffin, second round pick.
Interesting.
Stewie
I was
Griffin.
wondering if someone was going to take like a Family Guy or
Yeah.
Simpsons episode character.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I like that we set that precedent already. That's where we're going.
Being that it is my second favorite Pixar film, the other one was stolen from me by Tyler with Remy. I'm gonna go for Mike Wazowski.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah,
scumbag.
yeah, that's the guy.
All right. My next pick, I want to get some villains on my board, so I think I'm going to go with Scar from The Lion King.
Okay.
I think Scar is who I think I'm going to go with.
It's a good pick.
Which may surprise you after I said villains, not taking one particular name, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know if I know who you're talking about.
I don't know. You
but
know, I think
yeah.
there's a few names.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's fine.
You got two.
I got too many. And then I'll go the route of, just childhood nostalgia. Maybe he's not one of my favorites, but I absolutely adore this character, and that is the Iron Giant.
Yeah, I think that has to be drafted. I'm gonna go with what George says. I'm gonna go the villain route, and I'm gonna say Syndrome from The Incredibles. In my opinion, the best Pixar villain.
It's like a great villain, no doubt, a great villain.
So good.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a pick. So is this a third round right now? Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, fourth. Oh yeah, third for you. My bad.
Character that just needs to be drafted in animated character drafts, in my humble opinion, and that's SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh yeah.
He has to be drafted.
He has to be drafted. You can't disrespect him like that. And then I'm gonna go with. I'll go with the villain. I'll go with Death from Puss in Boots.
Yeah, there's your votes.
Man. That's who.
That's just genuinely like probably my favorite villain. Period. Too, and like animated stuff.
Good, man. He's so good.
Yeah, I know I'll get my last pick because you guys aren't going to choose this one, but I will go for. I'm thinking of one of two characters from the same film, and I'm going to side with the funniest one, and that is Donkey from Shrek.
Oh, love that pick.
I do love that pick. All right, my final two picks. Gonna get him on my board. I don't even know if this is maybe on your radar, but I'm gonna take Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
that was literally I was gonna pick him instead of Death. That was about to say it. So great pick, great pick.
Thank you. And then it would be an absolute sin for me not to take a character from my favorite TV show ever. So I'm gonna go with Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm so annoyed. I forgot to pick one of my favorite ones. Tyler's not going to pick it anyway. It was No Face from Spirited Away.
Yeah, I would not pick that, but great pick.
I'm going to go for. I think I have to choose this because it's my favorite animated show, and I've been rewatching it a lot more recently. I'm going to go for Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
I was just looking at that one, so I might have taken that. Where do I want to go with the final pick of the draft? So I'm not going to pick him, but I feel like he's like the most iconic animated character of all time. That's Mickey Mouse, but I feel like I don't know enough like media he's in that I actually genuinely enjoy. But I feel like for animated characters, you can barely get more iconic than that. But I'm going to go with... where was he? I'm going to go with Eric Cartman.
Yeah, I knew.
I was between him and because the draft's over now. I was between him and Homer Simpson or Bart Simpson, but I went with Eric Cartman because I think he's funnier.
I knew someone was going to pick it. George, do you want to run through the picks?
Yeah, I took Miles Morales, Scar, the Iron Giant, Scooby-Doo, and Prince Zuko. Seth took Wally, Mike Wazowski, Syndrome, Donkey, Rick Sanchez, and Tyler took Remy, Stewie Griffin. I was going to try to do a Stewie accent, but I can't do that. SpongeBob, Death, and Eric Cartman.
Any honorable mentions?
We
I
could have
think
gone like iconic, and someone could have taken like Mickey Mouse or Tom and Jerry or something like that.
I just
Right.
don't have that love for them. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're not on my radar. I Buzz Lightyear, I think we'll get comments about.
Yeah, Buzz Lightyear.
Buzz and
No,
Woody.
Woody or Buzz Lightyear. We didn't even pick a Toy Story person. did we?
No,
That's crazy.
that's why Cam would have, no doubt.
Yeah, I think
think.
yeah. I nearly went for Sully as well because I love Monsters Inc. Man.
Good movie.
That was a wide variety of a draft, though. I really like the directions we went in there. Because, like, last week when we did the Disney movies draft, like, I feel like we, like, locked into Pixar for a good amount of time. But
Yeah.
this one, we just, like, immediately went all across the board, which is
Who
great.
took Pirates of the Caribbean last week?
Me.
That was a
Dude,
a
I
good one.
got smoked in that draft.
Really?
Bro,
Oh wait,
I
no,
got
3-1.
rocked.
Who was 3? Who had
Me, I think.
yeah, that was what I voted for.
Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
got
'cause-
absolutely decimated because like Tyler and Cam were neck and neck, and then I was just like,
You
down
should-
here.
Down
Like,
there.
the fuck?
But yeah, I think there's a few. To be fair, there's any way you could have gone with that. I was quite interested. I am sad that Cam wasn't here. I think that with his like animated like love, I think he could have chosen some interesting ones as well. But there's so many ways you could have gone with this. To be fair,
I'm excited to see Cam's review of our draft and see if he's like, this is awful picks, or if he's like, respectable.
this feels like doing like an MCU characters draft without Cam here. If you know what I mean.
Like this is Cam's wheelhouse.
Yeah, he's going to be super. Well, okay, so Scar was drafted, Lion King's, which still, like, I respected him. He did his top 10 animated films the other day, and Lion King's still #1 for him, which surprised me. I thought Into the Spider-Verse would have been. But so Scar, he's going to he's going to be really mad about no Toy Story being picked, though.
Maybe this is a hot take. I don't think we picked anyone that Cam would have picked, except for Miles Morales.
Yeah, okay. That was a good caveat, because Miles Morales was easily the pick he would have went for.
I think that would have been the only thing he would have considered out of everyone we picked.
That's a voter as well, to be fair, isn't it?
He's gonna kill us for not having like Simba on our list.
Yeah,
Oh, someone could have drafted Batman too.
that's fair.
Most of the superheroes have.
Yeah,
animated
someone
films,
could have drafted any. Cam's whole team could just be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman,
the
Iron
Lego
Man,
film and stuff
the
as
Lego
well.
Batman movie.
Yeah. So we will end the episode there. Once again, shout out to our patrons. Check our Twitter as well, because that's where we'll be posting the draft as usual, and drop a vote on who you think won our animated draft. Obviously, like Tyler said, it's important to go over this. He did go over this earlier in the episode, but last week we had some issues with the PC, so we'll be getting last week's real quick. So this week, which included The Suicide Squad review, and someone remind me of the draft again that was last week.
Weapons.
Weapons.
Fictional weapons, which was a really fun draft, which I really enjoyed. So look forward to seeing that one. And then obviously we'll kind of be backloaded with content because we're recording some stuff after this. We'll have a lot ready to go with that as well. And of course, check out our perks, which I mentioned earlier, on Patreon for the merch and stuff as well. But as usual, shout out to our executive producers. We've got Al Bodie, Alexander Kepart, Mike Wells, Remy Walker, Seven Mod Jeffy, Alexander Biscardi, Ben Legg, Ben Hansey, Callum Singh, Dean Cotamandius, Dylan Chip, Ferdinand 04, Jimmy O'Connor, Jordan Gag, Josh Hines, Luke Darragh, I think, Marcellus, Relapse, Rocco Wonderhero, Sam's 43, Sean Morales, Stephen Johnson, Taden Bougie, Will Kim, and Eunice BBX. And other than that, we will close out there. So thank you very much for listening, and we have a lot more content coming soon.